Hello and welcome to unMadeGaming, guys. It is, in fact, Wednesday, and we are back here again for Blades in the Dark 6 and 20, the Shroud. Where recently we lost a member of the Shroud, and it is a sad day. So, with that knowledge, we'll go around to the newest member of the Shroud for now. Greg, Grimjack21502, who are you? What are you doing here? And who are you playing tonight?
My name is Greg, Grimjack21502 on Twitch and Twitter, and I will be playing the very forlorn, very remorseful Steam. He's lost his employer, the body he's supposed to guard, his best friend, to be honest. So it's gonna be a trying one. I'm hoping to see if we can get through it.
Got me a best friend. That's where I lost it. Someone who is equally sad at losing her best friend. Miss Ginger Ninja, who are you? What are you doing here? And who are you playing tonight?
I'm going to be playing OC, still on the hunt for the love of my life. Also, don't really give a shit that he died, because he was super rude the last time we all hung out at his house. And he was like, we don't care about Nye and all that other stuff, and like, you don't bash people. So.
He was super rude. He's kind of a douche.
Yeah.
Also kind of a douche. Johnny, who are you? What are you doing here? And what are we playing tonight?
A douche? Really? I'm in control of your fate. I'm a douche? Okay.
Johnny, you've been here for what? 15
Add
episodes?
4 crits fails.
You've been here for 15 episodes. You know exactly how this segues work.
You know what?
I control what comes out of my mouth.
I quit. I'm just gonna go hang out with the Phantom guys instead.
Okay.
I am Johnny. I run the VideostoreCowboy channel, and I am the GM for this lovely little world. I don't know how much more to set it up than that. I mean, we should get started. There's a lot that's probably going to happen tonight because it's going to be crazy.
Sure.
I mean, we've lost Reymond. We've got a crowd freaking out. Yeah. I don't really know how to make it other plain than more plain than that. The circumstances are pretty crazy right now, very chaotic.
Well then, before we jump in and get too crazy, I will remind you guys that there are several ways you can interact with the stream. If you look in the donation section down below, or type in !bit.d, I believe, you can see all the unique ways you can interact via donations to affect the game, giving players all kinds of boons and banes, as well as if you see those goals along the bottom of your screen, as soon as we hit those goals, everyone on screen gets position. And there are now 2 giveaways going on. One exclusively for Blades in the Dark 6 and 20. That is an art-based giveaway. That art can be pictures, movies, stories, poems, songs, whatever you deem art. Send it to us at #6and20art on Twitter, and we'll give you, and we'll enter you in to win a chance to get a copy of this amazing game and play it yourself. Also, if you type in !giveaway in chat, you can see that we are currently working with Elderwood Dice to give away sweet hex chests that have the unMadeGaming crest on there, and they are super rad. So definitely check those out. And with that, Johnny, paint us a picture with your words.
Well, actually, I'm gonna let Steam paint the picture, because Steam was the one that stepped up and kind of set the tone of what happened during the last episode. I mean, Reymond was doing his speech. It was a beautiful speech. He had just started, but it was beautiful. The crowd was moved. I mean, it was the first gathering inside of Crowsfoot. But then this really weird situation happened. So, Steam, why don't you step up and tell us, or Grimjack, why don't you tell us what's going on? What happened, really?
Well, as I recall from the narrative, what we heard last time on the story, an assassin ran up and shot my dear friend in the stomach. And, I mean, that was it. He disappeared into the crowd. It was a moment, I think, in Doskvol history that few will want to remember, but none will forget.
Much like
Clearly.
Bowerstone's existence entirely.
Hope he's watching.
All right, and so after that villain stepped up and fired a shot directly at Mr. Reymond Bowerstone, Lord Bowerstone, the future alderman of Crowsfoot. Right. OC, what happened next?
Sorry.
Perfectly. What happened next?
Then all of the people in the crowd, random people, were just yelling that it was some man named Wrath.
Wow, that's a bold set of circumstances. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So
I think Doskvol has spoken.
you
should
think
hang him.
Doskvol
Hang him!
has spoken, huh? Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
I could be alderman if you guys. OC is she has qualification. She has a lot of qualifications.
I
got a good
Steam
resume.
can't, but
She's real sharp.
Nix, where were you when all of this happened? What was going
I
through
was
Nix's
on
mind
stage, and I was the most shocked of anyone. A man in all dark-colored clothes just appeared on stage, shot him in the gut, shot my Lord and Savior Bowerstone in the gut. He clutched himself and then fell out bleeding to death on the stage. I watched the blood and life ebb and flow from his body as I ran over to aid him in his dying, his last moments.
This is an incredibly tragic scene.
It is.
I'm so upset. I'm really, really unhappy that we lost Slade
I'm
as a
remorseful.
player.
I am.
I mean,
full of
I do
remorse.
hope I hope that he doesn't have any, bad, hard feelings, because he's not here with us, and this is a horrible situation.
Yeah.
And so we're going to open up on the crowd and the chaos.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Can I have everything in his house,
I
including his dead
believe-
family, as pets?
don't know. Is he in chat? Maybe you should ask him. Oh, he is in chat. You should definitely ask him. I think that I would love to know the answer to that.
I'll ask him.
Okay. So, setting the scene. Nix is on stage, leaned over the body as a couple of Imperial soldiers are also running up to kind of render aid. OC, where are you?
She had dressed up in a disguise
Okay.
because, with him giving his speech, this obviously wasn't something that could have happened. So she is fake stumbling around the crowd, dressed as a much older woman, kind of aloof and slightly bumping into people in like a hood, like an old ragged hood, and
Okay. Steam.
yes,
Lurk.
yes,
Where are you?
I'm also about.
I'm asking for a very specific location, Monsieur Steam.
He's
I
pooping a
am
poop.
I am amongst the people. I am in the crowd.
Okay. All right.
Just like Alderman, he was a man of the people.
He really was.
Murderer! Scream comes from the back. Murderer! Let me through. I must speak on behalf of the dead. You see a small figure begin to weave their way through the crowd, and people begin to kind of part ways as they're looking. This is a tragedy. Go ahead.
OC is gonna start making her way over there.
Yes. As soon as Steam gets within 10 feet, everything drops into absolute silence, including whatever this person intends to say.
Okay, so I want you to roll for it. Yes, you're gonna roll for this. Because this is a fortune roll as to whether it actually works. Not whether it works on the crowd.
She's ready to react.
I'm
After.
not killing him. I'm using my silence potion.
Oh, I know. And you're gonna do a fortune roll on this one.
Can I
Because I need
assist?
to know
since I'm there?
how. Hold on a second. I need to know how the effect is going, how long the effect is going to last. Because the book says moments.
Long enough for me to push them out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, 1d for luck. Beyond that, what's in your favor? This is
It'll-
before your assist, Jinja.
They do not see me coming.
Okay.
I am invisible and quiet with... I dare say that I should be able to use something for having maxed out prowl in this type of circumstance.
Okay, sure, that's an additional die right there.
Right, I'm coming in absolute silence, so any reaction that people would be getting along the side, I'm going to be able to envelop them at 10 feet out. So I don't
Okay.
even have to be close to have this happen.
They also just cleared a path for him.
No, they wouldn't have cleared the path because they're clearing a path for this particular person.
Step
Well, I meant
aside,
behind.
so-
I meant like follow. Okay.
So you're going to step behind? So I need to understand your intent to get close to this person, because this person is starting to move through essentially the right side of the crowd towards the stage. And you see this particular person cloaked, making their way moving forward as the crowd was beginning to part for them yelling. So I just need to know where you are in relation to this particular person.
I'm closing. So whatever's the path of least resistance to get there as quickly as possible. I'm also intangible, so technically I can run through people if I want to.
You're using that ability right now too?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll pump it. I'll pump it up to 3.
Fine. Perfect. All right. So that's your essentially your prowl has added the additional die. What was the other one that you're claiming?
The actual silence potion's proximity of being 10 feet out before it would cut it. So I'm running at my
That's
maximum.
not an additional die. That's an effect of the potion. You
Okay.
already get the effect.
Okay, so I have my prowl. I have the fact that I can run through people using intangibility, and I'm coming at them
Okay.
invisible. They can't see me coming. I'd say that's 3 plus the luck.
Okay, so I think that's it's actually 2 plus the luck, because first you've got the fact that they don't see you coming, but then you've got the other abilities kind of kicking in. You don't get 1 for each ability, right? So
Okay.
you're aggressively using your abilities, and you've got your essentially your action rating pretty much maxed out. Okay, so is there anything else now? And this includes Jinja's assist. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by an assist here?
He and I would have planned this before. You know, if something had happened, if there was someone in the back, in the front, we would have strategically positioned ourselves. And I'm acting like a drunk asshole at this point, so I'm just pushing
Sure.
through people like that person would have, gained attention and pushed forward. I would have just been
Distraction.
knocking into people and going literally beeline.
So distracting people away from Steam.
Okay, so it's a distraction as well. Okay.
Do I
Now, so
recognize
that
this
sounds-
person as I'm approaching?
No, because this person is cloaked. So that's 4 die.
Do I recognize
Altogether.
the ghost field of this person? Doesn't matter what they have on.
No, you don't recognize this person at all. So that's 1 for sure luck, and 2. Sorry, it's 1 for your prowess ability being maxed out, 1 for your other special abilities, and 1 for the assist coming from OC. Is there anything else that factors in as a positive here, guys?
We have
I mean-
the floor. We could just tell him to shut up.
Okay. So
Nix is still up there.
Well, Nix is still up there, but he's currently tending to, and everybody is distracted right now,
Okay.
given the yelling that this person just did. Right? And so here are the negatives that I can see so far. 1, this person is completely unknown to you. Right? They're cloaked, and they're completely, they're unrecognizable. So you don't know exactly what you're dealing with in this circumstance. So I think that's
But if they're trying
That
to
doesn't
silence
matter.
him, how does that matter? Like they're not fighting him. They're just
Is
trying to make him
anything
be
is
quiet.
anything
I'm
in
not
this
engaging.
world immune?
you don't know how they're going to react once they're silenced. That's
Okay.
the
Reactionary is fair.
Okay.
And that's about the only one that I can think of as a negative. Can anybody else at the table think of a legitimate negative at this point?
No.
No.
I mean,
All right, guys, let's
Yeah.
go ahead and do this then.
Okay. I'm going to meta this for a second, but I can bump this back up to 4 if you guys want me to. I can take
With
the
what?
devil's footsteps and take this person out.
What
I
is
could
devil's?
literally-
What does that do?
I can do something of godlike nature, a feat of physical exertion that is athletics that verges on the superhuman. So I can literally grab this person and throw them into an alleyway, and then I'll handle the rest.
They're in the
of it.
middle of a crowd.
yeah,
right
it seems
now.
more obvious to do that.
Is there any way to
just-
make the person have a heart attack in the middle of them talking? Something that looks more natural.
open
Like,
palm
can you
strike
choke them
to the chest.
while in the ghost field somehow? And like,
I can because I'm completely bye-bye right now, but I can't hold this for long, guys.
I would say just do the potion because it silences a decent radius for a minute.
Okay, so,
Well,
you
so
want me
he's
to-
already taken the action of doing the potion. This is all about the duration of how long it lasts, because it's the description is moments, right?
Right.
It's not clear how long that's actually going to last, and the fortune roll is going to say, is luck in your favor? What's against you? And ultimately, what does fate say about your circumstance here?
Sure.
If there's whispers in the crowd, they're gonna see you. So I wouldn't do that full thing.
Yeah, I
all
wouldn't
as
go
well.
too crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
You get in
So
there.
he's
you-
already, but he's already
and then
gone.
you-
He's already gone. He's already invisible, and he's already intangible.
Yeah, but if they say
Is that-
weird shit, they could attune. Is more like if it's
Whispers
just dead
can't-
silence, something could.
Whispers can't see me like this, but it's
Yeah,
tough.
once he's
Someone,
intangible-
someone might be
Yeah.
able to see your. You know.
If Hocus can't see me, ain't nobody seeing me in this town.
I would.
But-
I would
Well, no
I would hope your
players-
godlike ability for in case shit goes down worse than this.
right.
In case they shoot Nyx.
it-
That's
it-
just us. We're gonna need the team members.
It's 3
It's gonna
stress.
be-
I'm cool. I can handle this. It's just it's not going to last too terribly long. I've got a couple, like a minute and a half before it drops. So that's 3
Okay, so
dice,
we'll-
guys.
So we'll discuss the duration of that particular ability separately. But this is all about how long the silence potion is going to be effective for you to be able to take the next step.
Sure.
Okay.
If only you had 4, you just.
All right. So go for it. Roll.
Okay,
It.
so 3 dice, right? Number of
That's
dice.
3 dice. That's right. So 3 dice for your fortune roll.
If you fuck this up.
Input value. That's nothing, right? I've never done
I
a
think it's
fortune
just
roll.
like notes, whatever.
Okay.
Input value is the number of dice.
No, I
Yeah.
already
It
did
should-
that. I think. I'll put 3 just in case, but I don't think that's what it is.
6.
I told you it was the notes.
Dude,
All right. So with a 6.
there's a 6
That's
in
a-
there. It's a fucking
Like I said, with a 6, that's a pretty good roll.
pretty good. That's like the fucking best. there,
No,
Johnny.
it's a pretty good roll. If you had critted, that would have been a great roll, right? A
I'd
pretty
like
good
to see
roll
the
means it's
fortune
going to
roll that
last
this
for a good
person's
period
rolled
of
against
time,
me,
right?
okay.
You're not.
Okay.
So
It's NPC, sure.
what happens? What essentially happens once you get into the range of this person? They just stop speaking? Is that correct?
Oh, they can continue to pretend like they're speaking, but nothing comes out.
Okay.
All silence, any noise, ambient foot tapping, a bird, a goat stops.
In a 10-foot radius
A goat.
around the
In a
Stop.
10-foot radius, and honestly, it's not 10 feet; it's 10 paces, which is a little bit different because the length of a pace can be somewhere between 1 and 3 feet. So this could have a much larger range, right?
I'm
so
down with that.
I'm gonna argue that you're affecting the circle, and the radius is much larger in that respect. So as you begin to get closer, the crowd begins to silence, and the person doesn't even notice because you're coming from behind them, so it's not clear as to what's going on. And so your radius, this area, just kind of passes over them as they're mid, words, and they immediately begin to react, and they start coughing, and they're trying to make a sound. They try to clap. They start to look around, and they look from one side to the other, and 2 people that were kind of shadowing them kind of meld in and stand next to this particular person. But also, the imperial soldiers begin to notice that there's something going on. So they're kind of concerned, and more of them begin to rush towards Reymond Bowerstone and the other individuals that are attached to this particular group that's on stage, that was all there for the presence, right? There's a couple of if I remember correctly, we established that you were having the support of some of the soldiers and some of the blue coats that were there.
Yes, there were blue coats on stage, and Imperial guards lined the outside, kind of bouncing them back.
Right, so they even get more defensive, and the soldiers begin to kind of come up from around, and there was like a peripheral, just a group of soldiers, and they move in front of the crowd and begin to move the crowd sort of back. And the person standing there realizes what's going on, and she begins to push forward as she pulls back her cowl, and you see that it's Tabitha Keele making her way towards the stage. And when the Imperial Guards see her, they also begin to just bring her forward. And so the rest of the crowd is pushed back farther and farther and farther. Now, where are you in relation to that? Do you stay in your position as close to her as possible?
I'm keeping her quiet as long as I can.
Okay. So when you do that, as she's moving forward, Nyx, everybody on stage begins to go quiet. Cool. And so no longer is anybody able to actually render aid in a normal sense to Reymond Bowerstone, because the doctor can't communicate with the other person, the physiker that's there that would have been on site or whatever. So there's a little bit of chaos and panic, and they're starting to pick his body up and take him away from you. The blue coats are
not let that happen. So
okay.
Yeah, this would kind of happen like simultaneously. Like as soldiers start to move forward, Nyx is over his body, kind of staunching the blood while the blue coats are moving in, and then we fade to black. And I'm using my ability Mastermind, and with my ability, I get essentially what is a free flashback, and we'll flash back to mere moments before we took the stage, where we were in the blockade, where the Imperial Guard were getting ready to prep this, where the blue coats were coming on stage, and I am there standing next to the resplendent Lord Bowerstone, speaking with Harris Stillman, my friend in the Imperial Guard, and we're going over notes on his speech. There's a wink and a nod to OC as she leaves and changes into old lady garb that we've seen before. And as we begin to leave, Harris Stillman looks over and says, my Lord Bowerstone, do you want this? And he holds up a studded leather Jurgen armor, and Reymond looks back and says, no, of course, we don't need that. And Nyx looks between both two of them and says, as a matter of fact, we'll take 2. And then we flash back to the stage where you see Nyx grab the Jurgen and sort of shake Bowerstone and say, get up. Just like we practiced. Now stand and deliver your speech.
You wouldn't be able to speak to him at all.
Oh, come on.
You are currently in the silent. No, you are currently in this. You were currently in the silent. He moved forward with her. She was continuing to move to the stage. The Imperial's soldiers were stepping her towards the stage to protect her.
I just think with all the panic, it would be a little harder to just quickly part the Red Sea.
This would have happened like right as Bowerstone went down. Like Nyx goes over to him and is doing this.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, then yeah.
Are there like 20 people watching this, or are there like 200 people watching this? Like how many?
There are a lot of people watching this.
Well, then it would be hard from the back to I don't know.
They cleared a path for her as she was yelling, so they were allowing her to move forward. So she is continuing to move forward, especially since the Imperials, the moment the silence dropped from the back of the crowd, they started to move in and kind of push the crowd away from the stage, protecting Bowerstone.
Right, but how about this? Steam, could you clarify? Because the silence potion works when you smash the vial, it causes 10 feet of silence. So no,
actually, it's when he consumes it.
It's on me.
Text. Yeah, when he consumes it, or it's on him, it has to be opened and he has to consume it, according to what I just read.
It's okay. It's part of the flashback. As soon as I'd see Bowerstone stand, I'd pull back. Also, Johnny, I'm right up on her, right?
No, you're not right up on her. You said that you stood far enough back so that you could always keep her in. Oh no,
that's good. I'm back from her, so I'm not. I have her like in my periphery because I'm behind her.
Right.
That means that she should just be on the cusp of that.
Correct.
Okay.
As she moved forward, she reached the stage, and as I said before, the silence fell over the stage.
Okay. Well, like I said, if we're establishing where Steam is, and Steam, as we stated, Steam was behind her, trailing her, so she was enveloped in the silence. That silence, I mean, it's that bad that it extends 20 feet beyond her. No, it's not. As I established before, she made it to the stage. As she got close enough, it enveloped the stage. That's perfectly fine. That's all I needed to know. Okay, well, as soon as she would take the stage and he would see Nyx pulling Bowerstone up, I'd just take a couple steps back.
Murderer! Where is that murderer? As her voice begins to peel through the quiet again.
And you would see Nick sort of getting Bowerstone back to his feet, and that's when he says, "Get up, just like we practiced. Knew your speech." And
there are Skovlanders in the crowd. They are here to murder. I'm sorry, what?
And I reach into my jacket and I stuff into his hand a pamphlet of paper, and that's when I do my second flashback. This is an actual flashback and not my ability. This flashback is me speaking to the Rook Network at work, basically asking them what the situation is in Crow's Foot before we go in there, getting details on how things have been going since we've been absent, what is the current scope, condition there, what has been the violent crimes that have been happening, the vigilante, all this business. And you see Nick's writing down notes on a very similar pamphlet of paper as the one he just shoved into Bowerstone's hand.
Okay.
And then
what do those notes contain?
Oh man, I don't know off the top of my head.
That's why I'm asking you.
They contain notes about the Skovlanders that are currently operational in here. I don't know what.
The General Underworld Scuttlebutt, I think, is what we talked about.
General Underworld Scuttlebutt.
Okay.
Is the word we used.
All right. So since you can't give me any specific details, I'm going to have you roll a fortune roll for how detailed that information actually is.
Sure. Yeah. Since I'm using the rooks, can I roll a tier?
Oh, sure can.
Sure. So I'll just roll the rooks themselves then. No bonus dice, I assume?
I don't think that there's any circumstance that makes sense.
6.
Okay, so all the details that you have specifically relate to the fact that the reappearance of Jinx Godeffer, the famous Skovlander legend from the Unity War. You know that there has been various movements with the Skovlander refugees and the Skovlander underground, and there are rumors of potential armed conflict.
So you would see Nyx taking these notes down on a very similar piece of paper, and that paper gets stuffed into, as we flash back to the present time, that gets stuffed into Bowerstone's hand as he shoves Bowerstone towards the podium, and then makes his way, arms out, towards this female that just took the stage. And he's kind of looking back and forth to the Bluecoats. And he's saying, "Excuse me, no, this is time for Lord Bowerstone's speech. Please, be at ease. Who are you?" And he's kind of like shooing her off the stage.
My name is Tabitha Keele. My brother was murdered by the Skovlanders. And she's just booming, her voice yelling. Thankfully, for all of that silence that Steam has given her, her voice just booms, just goes far out. And as you try to back her off, 2 mercenaries essentially step up and begin to kind of push you back as they put themselves between you and her. And the Bluecoats and the Imperial soldiers around you don't know what to do. They're confused because both the alderman, the future alderman, or the alderman candidate is starting to rise as you're kind of pulling him up, and yet they've got the sister of the recently murdered other candidate, Horace Keele, his sister Tabitha, standing right there, and they're both noblemen. They're from noble families, so they're a little confused about what the actual action should be, what they should actually do here.
Which is perfect.
And so the 2 mercs step in front of you and begin to push you back.
So Nyx makes enough scene that there is a bit of a scuffle between him and the mercenaries that it stops Tabitha long enough for Bowerstone to begin speaking.
Before he does, he's literally going to look at Tabitha and go, Tabitha.
Silence!
Getting off the stage.
You are a liar. Your involvement in my brother's death. You will be quiet and you will let me speak.
Are you the one that just
turns to the
shot
crowd,
at me?
And one
Is
of
that
them
what
begins
this
to
blood
step.
is?
One
Is
of
this
the
from Walker?
one of the mercs begins to step towards you.
Okay. OC would also have been moving towards the stage because she was following
course.
the entire time. She didn't care if it was silent or not. I'm going to use Cloak and Dagger and throw off my disguise, so I get a bonus on my roll.
Okay.
And I am going to say, is this what we do? We interrupt people when they're speaking. You will have time when he is done. This is the time for Bowerstone to speak. Lord Bowerstone.
And that's when you see 2 more step out of the crowd and move towards you.
I'll kill him. I don't give a fuck.
All right.
She's just talking, so if they want to
begin to grab for you. They begin to grab for you.
Okay. I'm going to pull out my sash and not fight them. I'm not going to, harm them. But I'm going to throw them off the stage with my sash. Pretty much just manhandle them.
They're not on the stage. You're not on the stage either.
I'm at the bottom, so I'll
You're
just
at the bottom,
them.
so they step up out of the crowd with you.
Yeah, I'll just push him into the crowd.
Okay.
I'm just deflecting them so he can keep speaking.
All right, well, so make your roll.
So I get +1 when I confuse or deflect suspicion.
Okay.
So I kind of want
that's 1 additional die.
Yeah. So I am going to use skirmish.
Okay. Position is risky, unless anybody can think of another reason why it's controlled or otherwise.
Mike, do I have any more bumps?
I don't know.
Positions?
Do you have any more position?
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna post that in chat. Give me just a second, guys. I forgot to post it for you.
Fuck these people up.
I would imagine that you definitely have. Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, I'm not dead.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up.
We don't speak too soon.
So you've got 1 position you can use.
All right, I'm gonna make it controlled.
Okay, sounds great.
The effect
and
is...
what are you going for in respect to? Are you just trying to deflect them off of you, or are you trying to push them away? What's the circumstance here? I mean, what are you really trying to do?
She's trying to get the crowd on her side. That this woman is her goal is. These people are storming the stage while they're using someone else being shot as a time for them. How dare you? He's hurt. He was doing a speech and he was injured.
This isn't a social situation, though.
No, but I'm trying to explain why.
You.
So she's going to be yelling, is what I'm saying, while she's doing this. These men are attacking me. We're trying to have a peaceful whatever, and while she's just fucking flinging them around to get the crowd to be like, what the fuck are you doing?
All right, so it's a control position. The effect, I think, is going to be standard, given the fact that you're trying to dump off essentially 2 guys just basically coming up and trying to grab you.
Okay, Johnny, there are 4 mercs and there's Tabitha Keele, correct?
There are 2 mercs on the stage. There are 2 more mercs that appeared out of the crowd the moment that OC revealed herself.
Okay, and they're all within. Give me a theater
We're
of mind here.
We're at the bottom
How
of the
far?
stage, and they're at the top.
Okay, so basically within 10 or 15 elevated feet of one another.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to support her with the following action. I am going to use Devil's Footsteps, the secondary ability, which means that everybody, all of my enemies within a 25, 30-foot radius, depending upon a fortune roll, they would be confused enough to attack one another. Depending upon the it automatically
push one into the other guy and he starts attacking him.
Right, it automatically succeeds. The fortune roll determines how badly it succeeds. And I'm going to use one of my crits to make sure these motherfuckers just start wailing on each other.
We just want to knock them out. We don't want to kill them.
So hold on just a second. Are you doing that before she begins to make the roll?
As soon as she makes the roll. I'm going to support her with that following action.
Okay, so she takes her action, and then you take that action as a response. Is that correct?
Yeah, like a setup. I'm setting she's setting me up, or
I'll assist him on his, because that's an assist if I'm making them.
No.
I can assist her.
You're taking the action though. The action is happening to you.
Okay.
He's trying to assist you. So you've already declared your action, and he's kind of assisting that. If you want to switch up what you're doing, you can let them grab you, and then he can make his action.
Nah.
So I mean, it's either or. I just want to be clear about the order that this all happens in.
Well, like I said, I'm going to do the action regardless, but the setup for that action, I'm there so I can. I'm trying to explain what's going to happen next, and if you deem that worthy of an assist for her trying to throw one guy into another, which seems to kind of be the same thing, That's what you were asking for extra dice.
So actually, Speedy
If
reminds
it's
me of a
fortune
very
roll,
good
you
point.
Can't use a crit. Yeah.
We can't use fortune rolls on crits, crits cannot be used on fortune rolls or on engagement rolls, because otherwise what happens is the audience is really able to determine, a significant amount of what fate. And he just reminded me of that in chat. And that is
So
something
use your
that we've
crit for a
established
follow-up attack.
Yeah, that's where you would definitely do that.
Okay.
So okay. So
I did not.
Or I mean, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. You could just give your crit to her.
Sure.
No, don't do that. Just keep it.
I've got two. You
Okay,
can
no,
have
give me one. It's fine.
Ooh, wow.
Okay, yeah. I pretty much want to push one into the other while putting on a scene that these men are putting their hands on me. I'm not taking my sword out. Nothing like that. It's literally just the sash that I was wearing as a garment with a cloak over. I threw my cloak off to, and, they start attacking me, and I'm like, get your hands off me. And, I'm sure people would recognize me if they visit any of my establishments. I'm also trying to get them more on my side if they know who I am. I'm a woman. You don't just attack a woman who's speaking. If one of the guys had started attacking Tabitha Keele, the audience would immediately be on their side. It's just, I'm trying to, play on their, I'm a damsel, and then just kick their ass.
A damsel who just revealed herself, from wearing a disguise.
Yeah.
And if you're a madam, it's not likely that you're all that popular unless you're advertising yourself as being popular. Are you advertising yourself as being a popular
but I'm sure
madam?
they've seen me in every single one of my establishments if they visit. Is my point.
This
At some given point.
This crowd is mostly filled with folks, as was established previously. This is the citizens of Crowsfoot.
But it's
These are
also
people-
it's also the rooks and the courtesans and the
who are all on
stoneholders.
our side, who can make a scene, who can help to make a scene. That's kind of what I meant. They'll see that it's me.
And the Imperials and the Bluecoats.
Both of our rooks are there.
I understand that. So
Okay.
are
So forget
another
what I
crew's
said,
rooks, both of them. So
Do we also
So it's
have
more of
Imperial
also
rooks?
alerting my rooks that I'm being attacked and to play along that, okay, how dare you hit a woman? They're going to start,
of course, they
rile them
can't
up.
say anything because they're in the crowd, and Steam still has his silence up at this point.
Does he?
Yes, the silence is still up at this
Okay.
point. We haven't established that it hasn't dropped. So
Steam's back far enough that I'm at the stage, so I'm okay. They can hear
Yes.
me. Okay.
They can
good.
hear you. That's correct.
I'm going to do that then.
Okay, so describe to me what happens. So these guys both come at you, and both of them, they come and grab basically shoulder and arm on each side. So one comes up and goes like this. The other one comes up and goes like this as they're trying to restrain you. You're using one of Steam's crits. What does it look like when you take that sash out and you basically knock them together?
So I took it off before I got there. I readied it on my shoulders. So when I threw it off, it's in my hands like this. So if they're holding my arms and my sash is on, I'm literally just going to ring and smash. I'm trying to confuse them. They don't know why I have this sash on my neck. It's going to take this. They're holding my arms. I'm just going to try to spin it around their hands and then just maneuver them.
Oh, and drag them. Okay, sort of drag them
I want to knock
off
them
balance.
out is what I really want. I want to just throw them into the ground, basically.
Okay, so you said three different things there. You want to knock them together, you want to knock them out, and then you want to throw them to the ground.
Well,
which is it? I just want you to clarify.
I want them off balance and out of the way. So whatever a crit
so,
gets for them to leave us the fuck alone.
Well, you just described that you wrapped them around and then you brought them in and you knocked them and they fell. You got them to basically go off balance and hit to the ground. Right? So they're basically crumpled in front of you as they've still got the sash kind of wrapped around their hands, that brought them together, and you're still yelling at the crowd. Is that correct? Are you still yelling up? And that's correct?
No, that's while they were on me, and then
but
it was while I was struggling.
Right, you said you were struggling, but that you were still
I'm
yelling.
gonna yell help for the Bluecoats because they're the law here, and people are now attacking me for no reason while I'm talking. So it's kind of
Okay, so the question then becomes, does Steam use his ability?
Not yet.
Are you sure? I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you that option. Are you sure you're not going to do that? Because you made a big deal to be able to support her with that, and then all of a sudden,
we needed the crit in there, so that's as long as she got the crit and took two of them out. It's not necessarily. I don't need to suppress a crowd now.
Maybe you restrain them. or something.
I mean, if they're unconscious, they're unconscious.
Are they unconscious or are they laying there?
They're down. They've basically, you brought them up and brought them down onto the ground, and they're kind of in a pile in front of you right now.
Okay, so they're not unconscious.
Is what I was trying to say.
So, but if you want,
no. I'm trying to say if Steam wants to for his thing is to keep them
with
down.
The crit,
we can handle.
I mean, they should
people.
be knocked out. That's. I mean, you could have killed them if you wanted to, but you know.
Okay, well, so then let's call them knocked out. Then, if you're gonna argue that the crit would knock them out, then that makes sense. Let's knock them out.
Yeah, I'm not trying to overdo it. I just didn't know how mechanically I was able to. What was fair. Everyone dies.
You have a crit. You can basically say whatever you want. I'm just asking for clarification because you said 3 things.
Okay.
So you basically you put them over onto the ground and they're knocked out. Okay. So with that now said, what happens next is the question to Steam. Does he use his ability yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm going to wait and see if we have anybody else pop up out of the shadows.
Okay, so the Bluecoats start to take notice of what's going on down below, but they're still trying to sort out what's actually happening on stage as well. So you see a couple of them try to struggle around, but at the same time, you've got this weird conflict happening as one of the mercs is moving towards Reymond Bowerstone, who is off balance.
They walk by Nyx. Because Nyx is sort of blocking everybody out from getting to the boat.
He's starting to push by you.
Yeah, so if he starts to push by, Nyx kind of puts his arms out and looks to the Bluecoats and says, "Excuse me, a little bit of assistance here. This is Reymond Bowerstone's time to speak. We called this conference for him to speak. They are disrupting this."
And this is Tabitha Keele. You will stand back.
"I will do no such thing. You are interrupting a soon-to-be government official."
And he attacks you with a blade.
Okay. Nyx feigns inability to fight in the face of the Bluecoats. Oh!
Really? You take the blade?
Absolutely. They just shed blood on the assistant to a soon-to-be government official in clear sight of the Imperial Guard.
OC is screaming the entire time, "Somebody help!"
Nyx went unarmed. Nyx is an unarmed civilian holding his hands up, saying, "Don't shoot."
Okay, I want you to roll me a fortune roll.
Sure.
And whatever you think is most appropriate for surviving a stab wound. Unless you did exactly what you told me you did.
And put the armor on?
I have armor on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I still want you to roll me a fortune roll of some kind.
I mean, it might have been easier if I was dead.
Fortune roll, or you want me to roll to resist being stabbed?
This is a fortune roll because you're definitely going to not take the damage from the blade because you've got the armor on, right? Because he's going to attack you in the chest. He's going to go for the easiest place, and when he hits the blade hits the armor, it really is about your opportunity to kind of react versus his, right? Who's going to have the advantage here? Who's going to be able to move next? Okay.
So what am I rolling?
He thinks he's got you. Yeah. So whatever you think, whether it's skirmish, whether it's wreck. Your choice on that one. I want to see a fortune roll to determine who's got the upper hand here.
So this is to determine who, combat-wise? So combat-wise, Nyx just takes the hit.
So the blade comes in.
He's playing a civilian. He's playing, I don't know how to fight.
So the blade comes in, and the moment that he realizes that you're wearing armor, he's going to move up and take the blade to your neck.
Okay, so just roll...
A dodge?
Yeah.
Well, no, this isn't a dodge. It's really about whether you... So prior to, I would have assumed that you would have reacted given the blade that was being basically stuck at you.
Yeah.
If he hits that, and you're feigning ignorant, or you're feigning like I'm like this, the next thing would be grabbing the he would be grabbing your neck and then bringing the blade to your throat and moving you back. So the question is, what would you do at that point?
So if he stabs at me and hits armor, Nyx just jumps back and looks to the Bluecoats.
Yeah, what about a fortune or a sway roll to see how quickly the Bluecoats react?
They have to do, there's still, even though there's, we get it that there's two different political figures, but, are the Bluecoats going to let people kill each other in front of them?
You don't know what the circumstances with the Bluecoats are.
Right,
And
so
the Imperial Army
Nix is
that's
relying on the
Bowerstone's
Imperial
side?
Army and the Bluecoats to stop what is clearly a murder that's happening in front of them.
All right.
Yes.
So, again, the blade comes up to your throat. Bluecoats begin to move in, and he looks around and says, "Don't step any closer." He says, "Reymond Bowerstone needs to move off the stage now. Tabitha Keele needs to speak." As she's screaming bloody murder, too. As OC is doing as well.
Actually, everything would probably have gone quiet about 10 seconds ago.
Why?
Because Steam's coming up behind this cocksucker.
Okay. So you're coming up as, okay, so things get quiet, blades up, nobody's able to speak anything, they're starting to move forward, but the blade, as they get closer, he makes it obvious that the blade is going in. Go ahead, Steam, what are you doing?
I am going to do what I was going to do. I'm going to blow it and tear into all three of them.
All three of who?
Tabitha and her two minions. I'm going to throw the one that's on Nyx. The ideal here is with my Daredevil or my Devil's Footsteps move, he's going into Tabitha, and I want it. However you want to do it, it's almost like a in the Matrix.
It's how you want to do it.
Yeah, when Neo starts running around and people start shooting and throwing knives and shit, and they just hit each other.
Okay.
That's what this is, as described in the blog.
Can't hear you.
It was real cool, guys. It was real cool. I'm still silenced. That was perfect. Thank you. No, just fucking put that guy's blade. He trips. It looks like he trips, and he fucking kills Tabitha, bro.
No, wait, Johnny, hold on. I'm not trying to have him kill her. I'm trying to.
You're more than welcome to.
I'm gonna throw them. I want them off the stage and in a fucking pile with their other flunkies, and then I'll handle them once they get on the ground.
Dude, I'm telling you, just
Oh,
push me
go.
on Tabitha.
Okay.
No.
so
If she dies, then they're
And if she
gonna
doesn't
call this
die,
whole thing.
just cut her and then push him like that direction.
Okay. I need a clarification here because again, I'm confused based on the action. You've got one merc standing next to Tabitha as she's screaming bloody murder, trying to get her message out. You've got OC on the ground or off the stage he's standing on the ground yelling bloody murder back after she just bashed these guys together. You've got Reymond Bowerstone starting to stand up and kind of off balance, trying to get to the point where he can start to speak the speech that's in his hand with the information that he's got. You've got Nyx, who's got the second merc on the stage, basically, with a throat, and Nyx is just feigning ignorance, or feigning, just being, weak as the Bluecoats are trying to move in to figure out what they're going to do, along with the Imperial Guards. And so what you're going to do now is you're going to move Matrix-like, neo-fast, crazy bullshit and throw all three.
It's not
the
bullshit.
Two mercs. Well, no, it's
dare
because
you?
Because I'm trying to figure out what this is going to look like when the three of them fly off the stage.
Right. That's about it. They fly off the stage.
Okay. All right.
I'm okay. If I can help you at all narratively,
please.
He's coming up. He is going to draw Tabitha's head and the other ones so they kind of turn into each other. I want all force directed towards Tabitha. I want these two burly motherfuckers swinging, throwing punches, thinking they're going to hit me. I phase out. They punch Tabitha in the face. They think they see me. They hear something. They throw a punch. They throw a knife. They throw whatever. It's all directed at Tabitha. She is force zero in this whole thing. So if I roll a 1, they might slap her. If I roll a 6, they're going to knock some of her fucking teeth out.
Sure.
Okay.
She ugly.
All right. So you phase in between Tabitha and the first one, and then you take out the second one, and they're again the desired effect is they're going all off the stage.
Right, and I'm going to follow them and take my silence with me as soon as I know that they're down.
Okay, great. So roll it.
You make it sound so easy, Johnny.
It is easy because I'm very curious to hear what happened next.
Okay, this is a straight 1. We'll see what it is, I guess.
I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for your fortune roll.
I had to put my note in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Shit. What?
That's what you get for joking about the 1.
That's right. I know.
You put the number.
All right, so the desired effect happens regardless, and I want you to narrate what it looks like as the three of them are basically thrown off stage. I want you to give us in full detail, because you're doing this while there is Reymond and Nyx in the circumstance, and remember, Nyx has a blade to his throat, and he's currently being held, so he's being restrained a little bit. So you're gonna have to describe to me what that looks like when you pull his arm back, and however you get him. Just
let's do it like this. This was a 1 roll, and I actually heard a really good. I was watching the D&D encounter roleplay and doing a nat critical fail in a narrative way. I Tall Squall did it great. So here's what I would say. Because
hold on a second. Hold on a second. I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you think this is a failure?
It's not a failure. It's not a failure because, one, it succeeds no matter what. It's just
exactly.
Right.
So it's not a crit. It's not a failure in any way, shape, or form.
Right, but just because I'm okay. Let's go on the gauge side. It could have been the teeth knocking out. It could have been just
from
tumbling down the stairs.
Totally.
With the 1, I'm taking Nyx with him. So it's going to be Nyx, the guy, me,
I had to ask.
Tabitha, all of us going off at one time. Off the back of the stage, out of the public view. Have fun with him, Nyx.
That's a little bit difficult because everybody's towards the front of the stage.
Well, okay, down the steps, because off the stage and down the steps, yeah.
So, but yeah, off the stage, but right. But so, again, that's the desired effect. I want you to describe to me what it looks like.
Okay, Steam reappears before he even breaches the crowd line of the stage. He sees OC take out the 2 with the sash, knock their skulls together, and they crunch to the ground. He smiles a little bit because that's awesome. And as he runs up, he grabs Tabitha, spins her into the larger guy flanking her, pushes them both off the stage, grabs the other one by the back, and just absolutely horse collar tackles him and pulls them all off the back of the stage. Steam, the other mercenary, Nyx, and the other 2 go falling. Big 4-man, 1-woman dog pile.
OC's gonna rush the
you
stage
appear
to
and
protect
disappear
him.
through all that, right?
No, because if I don't have to do that, I reappeared and just ran up and straight did it.
So are you still up there?
No, he went with everybody.
I'm
So he
gonna
went with
run
everybody.
up there with you to protect you.
Yeah.
Because you a baby's boy.
I am just.
Wait, so you're jumping up to protect Reymond?
Yeah, I don't have a weapon out. I'm holding a sash. So I put it around my neck nicely again and just stand there and wait for his speech to continue.
So the other part of the fact that it's a 1 is that the silence drops as you all begin to tumble down. You hear bones breaking and it screams a little bit, right? And that's mostly the mercs that are getting most of the damage because they're the ones taking the majority of the roll. Nyx gets a little bit of cut right here, and I'm sure that just makes him feel that much sexier or whatever. I don't know.
Alive.
He seems like the kind of guy who likes scars. But so you guys are all kind of rolling down, and there's a bone crack, and there's screams, and Tabitha's screaming bloody murder, and she's just trying to get up. And at that point, you hear a couple of gunshots fire off, and you see as the rest of you are on the stage, OC, you jump up.
I want to
You
dive
realize
on him.
that what?
I want to dive on him.
Oh no! You jump up onto the stage. You jump onto the stage to start guarding Reymond as he's kind of stepping up. You see around that there are 2 Imperial soldiers firing guns off into the air, and you hear the phrase, "Clear the area, clear the field," and the bluecoats begin to kind of move in and move Reymond and you off towards the back of the stage. More soldiers bluecoats begin to move towards the group of you that are piled down there, and the crowd is starting to get aggressively dispersed. And you see the Skovlanders that are in the crowd really kind of get frustrated because they're being manhandled.
I like to resist.
You're
You'd
not
like
going
to
to resist
resist
18 people, dude. Don't just go with it.
No. It's not 18 people. It's just a couple of people, right?
Can I say something in the mic before we get dragged off like this?
There isn't a mic, but you can scream.
Rain check! That's all she wants to say.
Well, so I think it's perfectly legitimate if Reymond wants to try to resist the circumstance and continue his speech.
Yeah.
So how do you want to go about resisting that?
So
start,
he's gonna be calm about it at first when there's like, gentlemen, hands off me. The speech must be given. You know how important this is for you and your brethren.
Who are you saying that to?
To the bluecoats that are escorting me out.
To the bluecoats that are escorting you out. Okay. So, how do you want to make that from an action roll?
Oh, it's definitely going to be a sway. That's how it's
I
going
don't
to
know. That sounded like it was command to me. It sounded like
no,
you were really
he's
trying to command them.
he's going on the basis of you know how important this is to you and your brethren. How important this will be. If it was starting to get a little bit more, they were getting aggressive with him and saying, you know, you're listening to us, then it'd be different. But it seems at this point that they're just escorting him away for safety.
Well, so the whole area has been ordered to be clear by the Imperial soldiers.
You're going to be making a speech to no one.
He has a moment to jump up and
he has a moment.
He has a moment
to take control of this situation. The first step is him getting an opportunity to not be to be pushed off stage. Essentially, his moment is now. He's got to step up and he's got to shine. So you're gonna try to sway them with this. All right, so let's go ahead and do that, and then I'm gonna put both of these questions to the table. First is, what's the position here? Because this is definitely not a controlled situation.
You know what? Screw it.
But in no way is it desperate.
I'm going to use a crit.
So risky.
You can't. Oh, for sway you can. Yeah.
Yes, he can.
Sway I can.
He totally can. That being said, I still need to know position and effect. So it doesn't matter if he gets the crit.
Risky and
I need.
Yeah. Because this is going to make or break a campaign.
This is a William Wallace Braveheart speech. Literally a William Wallace Braveheart speech.
His wife.
No, it's not that. It's not that kind of a circumstance. It's
got
more.
shot.
It's more dramatic. It's more dramatic than that.
So it's
okay.
like
Gary,
Are you saying I'm better than Mel Gibson?
Not a whole lot.
No, you're not better than Mel Gibson. I'm just going to be honest with you right now, Slade. I love you to death, but no.
He was great in What Women Want. All right, it's not. You can't.
It was wonderful. It's the best thing ever. Helen Hunt, right?
Oh.
And Ashley from Critical Role was in that movie as well.
Carrying on.
Sorry.
Welcome to What Scovillains Want.
That's a movie I would watch. All right, so so risky. Risky is okay. It makes sense. I would argue that great is not necessarily the case here, because it really is a circumstance where he's trying to affect being able to hold on to the situation and keep the stage. Him being able to keep the stage, he'll be able to start to give his speech. He's got to stay on stage though, so it's either limited or standard.
Can you bump it with your position?
He can bump his position
and then use the crit.
You know what? This seems like
Just
this
use
seems
one.
like the right time.
Great.
Blow it, baby.
So you're going to go for a controlled situation, and you're going to go for great. Is that what I'm hearing? All right. So you've got.
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
You don't have a crit.
Yeah, I do.
Yes, he does.
No, you don't.
Someone took it away.
No, I didn't take it away. You don't have a crit on the table.
You can use my
the
other
one
crit.
previously. No,
How's
the one
that?
previously that you posted there, Mike. It has one there.
Oh yeah, I posted. That's a new one. That's sorry. You're right. Look, let's scroll up. He does have one.
Yeah, he just took it
The
off.
one, the
'cause
one
we
you
were gonna
posted,
use it.
Johnny.
Hang on, did you take it off?
The one Johnny posted, and he took it off after he said he was going to use it. Math. It says 904. We said that a minute ago.
Okay. All right. So I love you guys to
We're
death.
not cheating, guys.
No, I love you guys to death. The reason I manage those tables is because that way I have the awareness. So do me a favor, don't repost. If it's there, it's there. Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, so that's your crit. You've got two positions. You're going to go with controlled and great.
Yep.
All right, excellent. So
all this shit
You've got-
goes down, and he takes the stage.
hold on a second. I want him to narrate exactly what happens, just like I had you narrate what you did. This is important because I want Reymond to have his moment. I want him to be able to step forward and have his moment. So first things first, narrate what happens when these two blue coats and an Imperial officer are trying to push you off the stage for your safety. As you hear yells in the crowd, disperse.
Yeah.
Go back to your homes, disperse.
So as they're holding him, he grabs onto both their forearms with his arms reassuringly. And almost when he's speaking to them, the noise dies out in their ears and they're just concentrating on his words. And they start to feel a sense of calmness and leadership in this person, and he's taking control. And when he says to them, "Let me go back and do this for you and your brethren," they start to feel that they're more than just doing a job, and that this person is there to help them. And if they can assist him and bring him back, that they would also be part of something bigger in helping.
Okay, so you're describing the effect, but what are you doing to do that? Is it the way you're looking at them and the way
It's
that you're
both.
touching them?
So gentle eyes and the reassuring grip on their forearms, gentle smile even though he's just been wounded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So they realize what's going on. The two bluecoats begin to kind of back off. The officer steps up as well. He sees your calm presence and just kind of looks at you for confirmation. He's trying to get a visual response from you as that you're okay, and you give him that subtle nod, I assume. Mm-hmm. And so they back out of your way. What happens next?
And then I start making my way to the podium. But as I'm doing this, I also want to usher the guards that were escorting me off. I want them to come with me, one either side. So it looks like the effect of they took me off and now they're on my side. I don't know if I have to make another roll for that they escort me and come with me up to the podium for protection.
You used a crit. You changed your position from risky to controlled, and your other position all the way up to great. So yeah, you've got the floor here. You describe it as you think is appropriate.
Bring in the officer as well. Why not? Get everyone on board. And with that, make my way to the podium. And if all goes well, I can start.
Well, so the soldiers and the blue coats are trying to disperse, and they're trying to clean up the circumstances where Nyx and Steam, and I assume you're still down there with them, Steam, right? Can't hear you.
Sure.
You're still in the dog pile, because that's basically what it is off screen.
Yeah, as long whatever buys him more time. I need to buy him time to do what he's gonna do, and I'm on the dog pile, kicking and biting and.
Okay, so given his crit, I'm just going to assume, and given the fact that
I have a crit too to use if I need to. So I mean, it's
right. But so given the crit, and everything else, I'm just going to assume that the moment that the tablet starts trying to scream bloody murder again, you're basically going to put your fist in her throat, or do you put something in, to prevent her from speaking and to continue?
Put something in there.
She's trying to figure out how to breathe. Right.
This isn't 6 and 20 after dark yet.
You need a little.
That's later.
A little God in you. Maybe you should say a lot of God.
We're going home.
Just the tip.
I guess that's the next one, right? 6 and 20, the porn.
OC's not interested anymore.
Remember, guys,
neither
there's a
am I.
competition going on at the moment for art and fanfics. We want to see.
Oh my god! All right, okay. So Reymond has the floor again. How does he convince the crowd and the soldiers out there? Like, again, you've got the floor. You succeeded. Your effect is great. Just describe to us how you get there. Describe to you how you get to the speech, and then get to the speech.
So I think the best way to do it would be to let out an almighty shout of stop while throwing his hands up. In a commanding sense, so that everyone's eyes turn on him, and his presence there of having the blue coats around him, and he's even wounded, and just this presence of this icon in front of them, even throughout all the commotion. So he's basically trying to get everyone to look at him, and then they basically see him and go, "Oh shit, what's going on?" Before he then gets into his speech, which would be. Did you want to say something?
Well, I was gonna say maybe you want to look at what Mike wrote privately in chat, because that actually seems more dramatic than them just kind of noticing that he steps up to the stage.
Oh, and then he shouts. So would that shout start, and then it continues?
Okay, great.
So I don't know if I need to roll a sway now or after for how the speech goes.
You crit. Just
that's right. I don't need to. So throw their hands out. Stop, my friends, Bluecoats, Imperials, and Skovlanders alike. I beseech you, do not succumb to the hateful rhetoric of the late Horace Keele. This is a time for unity in a Doskvol divided. The Keele family would have you believe that the recent attacks the city over were done at the hand of Skovland refugees. The Keele family would also have you believe that Horace was an honorable member of House Keele, when in reality, much like his anti-Skovland agenda, that was a farce. It has come to my attention that Horace Keele was no more than a puppet working in the service of Tabitha Keele. I have in my possession financial records proving that Horace was just another victim in Tabitha's war. A war that would weaken Doskvol. A war would then make it easier for the people like her to worm their way into your lives and exert control over you. This is not the first attempt on my life, and it likely won't be the last. Veterans on both sides of the Unity War are still suffering. And whether this recent display of aggression came from this Roth figure, I hear being shouted in the crowd, I'm not. I know violence will not end in pain and suffering. That is why I've spent the last several months working in secret with one of Skovland's most accomplished sons, Jinx Gotifer. Together, we have begun to mend the bridge between us, and he has agreed to help bring these revolutionaries to justice, while I have agreed that Crowsfoot will be a sanctuary for all Skovlanders. I will not be silenced, and I will not live in fear. Skovlanders need not live in fear. Crowsfoot need not live in fear. I came here today amid strife, gang violence, and martial occupation to speak to you all directly, and despite today's events, I still believe that together with your vote and your aid, we can turn Crowsfoot from a war zone to a safe haven, from a den of dishevelment to a paragon of unity. With your help, we can make Crowsfoot a beacon that leads Doskvol to a new dawn.
As he finishes his speech, OC will go help him for emphasis that he's hurt and try to help him off the stage.
So the crowd reacts almost immediately when you start to yell your speech. They stop, including the soldiers and the bluecoats who were ordered to clear the area. As each of them, the soldiers and the bluecoats, look for guidance because of the uncertainty of the circumstance, your speech is able to continue, and they are told, they are given signals essentially off screen from you to kind of back off, right? And so the crowd, or the soldiers, would kind of begin to step back a little bit as the crowd begins to move forward. The moment that you mention the betrayal of Tabitha Keele and the circumstances around Horace, the crowd begins to get unruly. There are shouts of support for Reymond Bowerstone. There are frustrations expressed at the circumstances of the manipulation, and there are calls to get a rope and hang her as the bluecoats around the group begin to the group, or the essentially the dog pile, begin to kind of pull it apart, and they grab her. During all of that, what is Steam doing as they begin to kind of pull everybody out of the dog pile. I mean, you're essentially, you've got your foot in her throat, or your wrist in her, basically suppressing her ability to speak. When they start to pull you guys off, what is Steam going to do?
Nothing.
He's going to get pulled off as well and let her begin to scream.
Oh no, he smacked the shit out of her throat. She's going to be gasping for breath for the next 15-20 minutes. I mean, he gave her a throat chop. I mean,
right.
She's an NPC. He gave her a throat chop. So as she's clutching at her throat, he'll just look at her, shrug his shoulders, and pull his hood down a little bit. It's all business, honey.
Well,
you've been played and manipulated, and this is what you got for it. And that's what he says.
As everybody's beginning to be pulled off, Nyx is the only one who is let go to head back towards the stage. The rest of you are beginning to be handled by the blue coats and the Imperial soldiers on the side over there. And so you're let off with them as she's coughing, and they're, the two, mercs that are with her are kind of struggling, and they take you with them off to the side. As Reymond's speech continues, the calls for her, for her to be hung, for her to, for her justice, justice to be had, continue. As we get towards the end, and Reymond is talking about, setting the stage for what he really wants to do, right? The crowd begins to get silent again. Bluecoats kind of move you, the four of you, off to the side. OC, you notice that your girls in the crowd are kind of melting back a little bit as they start to give you signals that there are Skovlanders inside of the crowd who appear to be, reaching for their blades, a little frustrated with the situation, and eyeing Tabitha Keele, right? Eyeing that direction.
She's going to do her, which is it would be known to like code things like yes or like go or like no, just common things. She would just take it out of here, don't get hurt.
Okay, and so as the speech continues towards the end, they just kind of bleed off one or two at a time, and so the speech ends, and the crowd is silent for a second as they just kind of take in everything, and then there is a clap at first, and it comes from one of the Imperial soldiers. And Nyx, you recognize him as your asset, and that asset begins to start a sense of applause, just this adulation that just kind of comes from the crowd as everybody begins to scream, Bowerstone, and there's just this applause, and there's this cheering as you successfully give your speech and woo the crowd over in your favor. And unless you guys want to do anything else, that's where we'll fade to black on the score.
With that crate, could he have the guy just start a slow clap?
Can we have Simple Minds start playing?
Yeah.
Are the four of you going to walk away? Right, exactly.
I'm going to leave separately.
Okay.
I'm just an outraged person who's upset by this.
Where are they leading Bowerstone?
They are not leading Bowerstone anywhere. It's Steam that you think that you're thinking of. They're leading Steam away. They're allowing you, since you were Bowerstone's assistant, to get back on the stage.
Okay, so then I would just sort of arm over the shoulder and lead him into the gallows respite.
I was just going to say, if I can see them leading Steam away, I mean, he's not going to be led to prison, is he, or anything like that? Is he being arrested, or is he being moved on?
He is being taken into custody along with the rest. Now, we can fade to black, and you guys can find out the ultimate circumstance, or we can do a cut to the crowd beginning to disperse. The stage is beginning to be disassembled, and the aftermath of the essentially the event is still going on, right? The tearing down of everything.
I just want to say one thing. If I can see him being led away, and if I've still got the blue coats around me, I'm going to point over at Steam as he walks away, and I just want to say to close proximity those around, that man there, he saved my life and a couple of my friends. I hope he's going to be well treated.
Okay.
You could roll to see if they would go do anything.
Yeah.
No? Did he try
Well,
to
no.
sway them to...
With the crit, his influence is ultimate right now, right? He has so much sway over what's going on in the crowd and what's going on with the Bluecoats and the Imperial soldiers around him. It's going to go his way either way right now. So, do you want to fade on that as the score, or do you want to fade into the aftermath of that? That's the question to the table.
Up to you guys. I think I've...
Well, let's ultimately deal with Steam. So it'll fade into whatever he has to deal with now, and then I guess we'll go into downtime so that it'll narratively make sense that we wrapped up everything, and then, you know.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So we're gonna fade to black on that. Steam is ultimately let go on the word of Reymond Bowerstone. What you see happen to Tabitha Keele in her two mercs are, at first, you see them being treated just like anybody else. But as you're being led away from the Bluecoat station, or the Bluecoat, essentially location inside of Crowsfoot, you see that a solicitor has appeared on behalf of Tabitha Keele to inquire about her circumstances. And you know that means no good whatsoever. And so we're going to cut to downtime for you guys.
Can I walk past her as I leave the station or whatever it is?
Do you want to do one of those spooky sort of crazy things, or do you just want to, kind of walk past her and say, talk some shit?
I want to talk some shit.
All right, so go ahead, talk your shit.
He walks out and he says, "Vote for Bowerstone. See you soon."
Do you have a pin? Do you hand her a pin?
I love Bowerstone for all of them.
Enjoy your
Vote for Bowerstone?
No, see you soon.
No, I think vote for Bowerstone. See you soon, Rickster. So that actually makes a really interesting question for me. Stepping back out of the circumstance of that, Reymond, Nix, what would Reymond Bowerstone give away as a vote for Bowerstone kind of a thing? Would it be some sort of pen? Would it be a ribbon? Would it be a pamphlet? Would it be candy? Would it be candy wrapped in something that says "Vote for Bowerstone"?
So we haven't made anything other than the pamphlets, the propaganda pamphlets that I've been handing out to the Imperial Guards. So that he'd have just a folder full of those ready to go.
If you got them, just go in there and make it rain on her.
Yeah,
just
throw them.
So Steam hands. I would imagine that Steam is basically placing pamphlets all along the Bluecoats desks or whatever, around, and then you just kind of hand one to her as you walk away.
Yeah, I hand one to her and I say that, and then I hand one to the nearest guard and I look at him and I say, "You know what must be done."
All right, excellent. All right, I need a vote for Bowerstone T-shirt.
I can make that happen.
All right, so
But do the tombstone. It's the tombstone, and then it says "Vote for Bowerstone."
Oh, I love
You never
that.
really die in.
you don't really die in Doskvol. That's
He's just a
really
ghost.
kind of the
Vote for
point.
the ghost.
Yeah, stone to throne.
Okay, so we're going to go into downtime, and the first thing we're going to do is payoff. And I'm going to give you guys a lot of leeway here because you guys put this together in about 10 minutes, and then you had a week to kind of put together the culmination of it, right? So let's talk about what type of job this was in respect to coin.
So this was deception.
Sure, that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about payoff, though.
Oh, the size of the job, you mean? Okay, sorry.
Yes. So, what do you guys think?
I go two ways with this. I say it's either very little coin or a shitload in the form of campaign contributions.
Ooh.
I think
That is
campaign
a very good
contributions
point.
and his medical bills.
But so as we've established in the past, in respect to the way politics work in Doskvol, the money and the power comes from the nobility, and the only noble person there besides Bowerstone was Tabitha Keele, as far as you know. So give me a good reason as to why it would generate donations, and I will be happy to give you it. It could be like either a standard or big score.
I could imagine her connections of the nobles.
word of this spreads. You've got Bowmore hears about it, Lady Rowan or whoever the fuck that is hears about it, and it makes it much easier to back Bowerstone when he's become the William Wallace of Crowsfoot and single-handedly toppled Tabitha Keele, who can't be on their good side. If she was, blackmailing her own brother, they can't have any affection for that type of horse shit. That's against the status quo. I see a ton of shit coming.
Actually, it wasn't even her brother. It was like bum
No,
off
it
the
was
street.
just
She
some
was paying
random
to pretend.
It was some random person that
she was
puppeted.
lying about nobility as
Yeah.
well.
Whatever, Yeah, well then fake nobility. Christ, that would even be worse.
Well, so you know for a fact that Tabitha Keele is actually an actual noblewoman from the Keele noble house.
Right, but
Horace Keele was somebody who just kind of appeared out of the blue. And they were portraying him as sort of the recluse brother who basically stepped into the limelight, not unlike famous Mr. Reymond Bowerstone here.
She's
So
a
that
noble
to
woman
me
who
is-
showed her ass. Showed her ass, buddy.
All right. Okay. So to me, that seems like it's definitely, kind of waffling between. All right. I'm going to go. So I was saying between a small job and a big score. I think this is a standard score and give you guys 6 coin for that. Unless anybody has any, other reason why we should do more.
The greatest alderman in the world.
Reymond Bowerstone.
Two.
You're not, the election is coming up. The election is coming up.
Johnny, it's okay. We know how things work.
No, I know how things work. You think you know how things work. All
I've
right,
been
guys.
beaten,
So
shot, poisoned. If I don't get it by the end, I'll be mad.
technically, you've only been shot and blown up.
No. Someone also tried to poison me, and I was beaten.
He did try to get
You
poisoned
get
at dinner.
Rowan poisoned us, and then
I
gave
thought
us
you
the
knew
cure.
everything.
You guys are so cute. She didn't poison you.
I mean,
dick.
It was all
I don't
misdirection.
I don't believe you.
Okay. She didn't poison you. The ambush was supposed to happen outside. Anyways, yeah. Okay, so rep. 2 by default.
Yep.
In this particular case, this isn't a case where tier comes into play. Because you're not directly going against any particular faction, and you actually had a couple of the larger factions on your side to some degree. But from an influence perspective, I think you guys at least deserve 2 more from a rep perspective, because you've essentially broadcast your intent on a very public stage. You survived a massacre and gave a rousing speech. So I think...
What about the Jinx Godifer aspect of essentially a living, a legend brought to life?
Well, so that's going to come into play when it comes to heat. Because name dropping like that, given your relationship with Grin in your past, I think generates some heat for you. So I don't think that actually plays in your favor. But I think given everything else, you guys deserve 4 rep for that altogether.
Okay.
Unless you guys can think of anything else that plays into it.
No.
Okay.
I mean, we have influence
No.
now, but that's kind of dealt in there.
Yeah, totally. All right, so let's talk about heat. First and foremost, let's talk about the level of exposure. This was a pretty significant event. There are some things that I think that would take away from it being, a high exposure or devastating exposure. But it was significant enough because you called out Jinx Godifer. You called out the Keele family, not just Horace, who's the fake Keele, but Tabitha, who's the real Keele. And Tabitha Keele is not the head of the Horace family, the Keele family. She is the youngest daughter in that circumstance. And in fact, that played out in respect to all of your research that you did background wise, Slate.
Mm-hmm.
So, from a noble family perspective, I think you guys deserve, from a heat perspective, I think you guys deserve 2 heat to start off with. So standard exposure, high profile, well connected target in Tabitha Keele, so that's +1. I would argue that Jinx is a high profile connected target at this point, given what happened last week on Phantom.
Now, is it Jinx or is it any of his other names?
No, he came out as Jinx last week. He stepped into Kellen's bar and announced himself as Jinx Gopher, essentially, without even having to say his name.
Okay. Fun times.
So you wouldn't know him. So you don't know him directly as Jinx. You only know him as Grin. Right. So
Yeah.
But but announcing that name still has a factor into it.
It's a lovely coincidence.
You're not currently at war with anybody, or not in this situation, and there was no murder actually involved. So to me, that sounds like 4 heat.
Sure.
Okay. So what does that put your wanted level and your heat level?
Wanted 1, heat 5.
Okay. Great. So, I'm going to roll entanglements real quick, as we usually do off screen.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what happens. And then what you guys start telling me what you guys want to do for your downtime.
Well, how badly, if at all, is Reymond hurt?
I don't know. That really, I mean, that's one of the reasons I was asking you guys questions off screen, was because I wanted to determine whether there was any actual harm, or this was a circumstance where stress played the factor.
So my ability allows me to reduce or negate the harm based on what I do. The book says that regular armor, not heavy armor, is studded leather. So I assume the bullet would still go through that, just being tanned hides. So he would still probably be damaged by it. So I would have reduced the harm, not negated it entirely.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Would you guys actually have shot him, though?
Yes.
Full on, you've got a bullet and you're going to shoot him.
He had to look like he got assassinated. He had to stand up and deliver that speech.
Not anywhere like heart or like no serious places, but like the shoulder or
Steve said when he got on the stage, he shot him in the gut.
Yeah,
I mean,
Steve,
we don't need to do a flashback, but I'm pretty sure everyone was fighting up. No, I want to shoot him. No, I want to shoot him.
the good thing is, Johnny, that Steam knows.
Slade, did you want to shoot yourself?
Marksman.
He did with that speech. Just kidding.
Okay, so a gut shot would be painful as hell, but it would not be level 3 harm.
So whatever it would be, I reduce it by 1.
Right. Well, that's why we're having a conversation about this, because you wouldn't have hit any vital organs if Steam is a excellent shot.
Well, I mean, it could have.
You would have known exactly how to shoot him. So, with the studded leather armor, you could even say that you knew exactly where to hit him on the armor, given that you would have spent some time putting this together from a plan perspective. So I would say that you would hit him with probably bruised ribs or badly bruised.
Or harm 1 bullet graze.
Well, I don't even think the bullet necessarily would have penetrated. Because if you wanted to get the effect of a gut shot, you would want to shoot him more directly, right? But you would do it in such a way that it was least likely to penetrate, or if it did, it would be a surface wound, like a flesh wound more than like a graze or anything else.
So then, flesh wound.
So we're going to call this level 1 harm, Slade.
Sacrifices must be made.
And let's call it a flesh wound. So you currently have level 1 harm, which means that you take a -1 position on rolls.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just basically want to grab a physicker to do that healing. Yep. Okay. So, all right, we're now in downtime. Who wants to go first?
So I can rush through it. So the first thing I want to do is get patched up.
Okay. So recovery, get treatment to tick your healing clock. It's like a long-term project. So on your character sheet, you'll see that there are 4 segments to that clock.
Roger that.
And
I think you literally click healing, the word right above the clock. I think that's how you roll the healing thing.
Yep. Oh.
Roll it.
Number of dice.
Let's talk about your approach. Let's talk here about your approach to get to get a physicker. Are you just gonna? Would you be straight up going to a Physiker at this point?
So if we got off the stage, I think Nyx would have brought him into Gallows Respite. That's where we were having the stage built.
Sure.
And there's Imperials and blue coats. So I think if he's going to do that, then
I described
asking towards them.
Well, so I had described that there was a Physiker actually trying to attend to him.
Yeah.
But that person got pushed aside when everything else happened. So if you're inviting them all in, then I'll just say that there's the Physiker there,
Yeah, so
and
we
we'll
would
call
invite-
it 2d6.
2d6. 4.
All right, excellent. So that should heal you half the segment.
Cool. And then for the second one,
Okay, keep going. What do you do for your second one?
I want to reduce heat. Ginger.
Owls is messaging me and I wasn't paying attention.
For those wondering what's going on, she heard Chitty.
No, just let it happen.
Just
That was
roll.
weird.
There's a
Just
whole
roll with
other
it.
world.
I did. What the hell?
There are multiple worlds. There are multiple conversations going on during every game, just so you know, folks.
Johnny, we were talking about that, right? The multiverse.
Oh, God, yeah, exactly. Okay,
I'm not rolling.
so
that.
you want to reduce heat. How do you want to reduce heat?
So I'm going to be writing off the success that's just happened
Sure.
with the blue coats. So I'm wanting to get chummy with them, and since they're basically the law enforcement, and
Okay.
I don't know if I can go back and speak with the captain official guy, but sort of with reputation and words with them, start calming things down, and if they bring up conversation and whatnot about possible things, sort of deflect it and say, look at the great that we're doing for Crow's Foot, and think about what we can do for the future.
What do you think they're going to bring up that you would want to deflect from? Like, what would I mean? Because
I probably think
that's
Tabitha Keele was going on about trying to
Okay.
cause issues with us. So it'd be
Okay.
still going on the basis of that. Wasn't she a crazy bitch coming up like that?
okay. So that sounds to me either like a consort or a sway.
You know me. You know me, Johnny.
You're
I
going to
like
want to
my
go sway.
sway.
Yeah, I know you do. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and roll that to reduce the heat?
All right. No position.
No position, no effect.
Oh shit! Wow. I've never had that before.
What did he say?
What did I miss? Hold on. What the? All right.
It happens to everybody. Don't worry about it.
Happens in 1 in 5 Doskvol.
It happens when you roll a 2d6.
It happens to 1 in 1 Bowerstones.
Start you what you were saying last week.
Okay. So, given the scale, you reduce the heat by 1. So,
I'm doing my best.
after that great rousing speech,
He's no longer roused.
Fucking
The effects of the crowd and the speech wore off.
He likes being watched. Now no one's around.
can we have him roll 2d6 on that one?
Nope.
For what? No,
Only if
Nope.
yeah, what? No, what was that?
only if his dead parents
Who's
for
down
luck
next?
only if his dead parents for
Who's
luck
down
can
next?
watch him roll a 2d6.
Who's downtime next?
All right. Okay. All right.
86
So,
for the dead parents.
oh, gee.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
We're gonna look like Casper. She's gonna look like Casper when he's done.
Miss Ginger Ninja, you had some downtime.
I quit. This is the second time I'm quitting tonight. I quit, guys. See ya. All right, Reymond. So you have taken for your first downtime action, you have gone to a Physiker. For your second downtime action, you have reduced heat by 1. Would you like to pay some coin or wrap and get another one?
Move on.
Nix, would you like to give him your free
Fuck the guy.
downtime action? Okay. All right. I just want to confirm.
I just
Thank
saved
you.
his life.
Thank you, Reymond Bowerstone, and welcome back to 6 and 20.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was falling for it. I think I got like 3 people. They just messaged me in the DMs and like, "Fuck you."
So guys,
I did get a couple people message me as well. I'll be honest.
So how do we kill him in season 3?
By not letting him survive
You
the
stick
season
him in that room
finale.
with his parents.
We killed him in season 1 and in season 2.
Okay.
You know what? Each season you should ramp it up. So like season 1, it was 1 death. Season 2, he should die twice.
Yeah.
Season 3, it should be.
Season 1, we faked his death. Season 2, we actually shot him and brought him back. Season 3,
But you
we're
still
actually going to
faked
kill him and stuff him back in his body.
This is slowly becoming flatliners.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
so,
God. Okay.
I'll do mine real quick if
Sure.
you want. Okay.
No,
so,
we don't like you. Go away. No. Okay. What do you got?
Listen. Goddamn it. While I'm
You're
not
the one who said
laughing, let
titty
me
sex. I'm
quickly do-
sorry.
He said it.
No, you're the one who started it.
So I'm going to start a long-term project.
Okay.
I'm going to track down the Crow's Foot vigilante, and I'm going to use my Rook network.
Okay.
Because now that I have girls working in the tavern, it'll make sense for me to have more people here.
Okay. Remind me, given all the chaos that has happened over the past week in respect to all the things that were going on, how do you guys specifically know about the vigilante? I don't remember how you guys learned about that.
We were
got together in the Eden, right? And we discussed it there.
So
That's right. Okay. All right. That's right.
and I have the physical description of her because the Dimmer sisters gave it to me.
That is okay. That's right.
And I
I'm
also
sorry,
know
I forgot.
that
You actually visited the Demmer sisters
So
last
you
week.
have a physical description of
The vessel.
the vessel. Bowerstone has a description that says the masked vigilante that's working in Crow's Foot may be working with Horace Keele's sister, and that's all we know about the masked vigilante, is that she's operating out of...
It's not hard to see a masked vigilante, though. My
Right.
point was more
Yeah.
if they knew who it was, they wouldn't act. It's just information
Right.
gathering.
So we know of one, and that it might be working with Horace Keele, which is why we're interested, and his sister, Tabitha.
That's correct. Okay. So,
I just combined 2 different downtime actions. Sorry.
okay. So, well, how do you want to approach that then? With your girls kind of spreading out amongst Crow's Foot, are you having them just kind of work?
Ask questions.
The
work.
respite.
It's not just the respite, though.
You don't
they're
have,
also...
but do you? So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish what you were going to say.
So that's the reason, that's what makes sense that they would be here with us, is that, I have a lot of girls that work different shifts and we put them up there to,
Okay.
because all hours. But they would be wandering the town, asking questions, listening, keeping an ear out. They go to other places within Crow's, like other restaurants and stuff. Like they go out when they're not working, and that's when they're working for me, like, during their free time, as my rooks specifically.
Okay. All right. All right. So, as a long-term project, how are you going to roll this then? Because they're not the girls
Command?
work for you. Well, so yeah, that might be a good one.
Sorry.
Or you could...
No, that's fine.
So if you're, I believe the way command works is if you're leading a group action, you roll command. If you are just telling your girls to go do the thing, you roll tier. Or you roll cohort, which I'll have to do for you, I guess.
Well, so they
Consort or
technically
cohort?
they technically don't fall into the cruise rook network.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
We took
have
two crews. We have two rook networks. As one of our upgrades, we took a second
I have
rook
one,
network.
and he
You
has
took
one.
okay, so you took a second one, and that's specifically the girls now.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
They're not
Fair
just the girls that work for me. They're just
just
That's
girls.
fine. I'm looking for a clarification here.
Yeah.
That is all.
So I can
Okay.
roll their tier.
So go ahead.
or their
No,
quality.
well, so but it's her downtime action, so she should be doing the roll.
It's on.
So you guys are.
It's on the sheet. She literally can't click the button to roll. This is the-
I was just going to have her roll the tier 3, as a fortune roll, essentially.
It's tier 3 plus their elite, which adds +1, so 4, I think.
So yes, it's
Yeah,
tier
so
4. So
4
just go ahead and roll a
46.
tier 4, or sorry, go ahead and roll 46 as a fortune roll.
just roll a fortune roll with 4 number of dice 4.
Yes.
Got it. Sorry, everyone's talking at the same time, and my brain hurts.
Okay, so let me think about how many segments of the clock this actually would be. So I think this is going to be a 4-segment clock.
I believe we already had a clock for it.
We do. Bowerstone started one.
Yep.
Looking at it now.
We would talk, and then I'm sure during this we've talked about, because we're all trying to find the vigilante because it affects all of us.
Which one is it, guys?
No, I guess not. Then we start one right now. I thought we did one last week.
I thought last week we started one.
Okay, whatever. Just start
went out
one.
and did
Just start
my
one then.
investigation.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Just start.
No worries.
Pretty sure I got a crit. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Well, so your research into this might be different than hers. If I remember correctly, and you did, you basically got the description of about this particular person. She's now trying to physically track this person down. So there
does she want to work?
I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, OC, do you want to work together on this?
I mean, I'll give you guys all the info. I would tell you guys anyway. It's not a matter of working. You can use your downtime to help if you want, because the whole crew would know.
Because it was last time that I put on the suit and actually went out to get the information. And that's when we came together and spoke about the vigilante and the possibility of it being Nye.
Yeah.
So if
just because she was a wild card and we don't know what she's doing. So yeah. I would give them that information, but be like, look for anyone who's a masked vigilante, obviously, but also here's a description that I got from the sisters.
Okay, so given the fact that it's a 4-segment clock, you rolled a 6, and there was previous history on it, thanks to Bowerstone, I'm just going to say that the progress clock gets completely filled in. So you are successful in doing that. You are successful in finding out more information about this particular person, or this masked vigilante.
Can I save that for next week in our downtime?
Do you want me to save the information for next week?
I want the information to be relevant next week because of what we talked about before the show.
But I can't give you the information right now.
Okay, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
Okay. So you know that she was being tracked by multiple groups, and that she was actually captured at a Red Sash, drugged in. But you don't have any more information about what happened to her after that because she disappeared. Except that you know that she was actually taken to Silkshore.
Okay.
And so given how things play out next week, and since you want to hold on to that information until next week, for use in next week's show, the circumstances around what happens on the Tuesday cruise and what they do with her, that location will be updated for you.
That's kind of, because I don't want to use it now. It'd be kind of unfair, obviously.
Well, you can't use it now, but you do get that information, right? Okay. The circumstances present themselves that you have that information. It's along the same lines as the setup that Mike did with Nyx to find out where Marique currently is with the book, right? Mike's got that information as a character. Like Nyx has that information. So you've got that information. It's just how you end up using it, how you decide to use it.
Okay. And then my second downtime action, I would like to start a weapon tinkering.
Okay. For what?
I'm going to create a weapon, and then I'm going to craft it as a special weapon, which we could talk about off screen because I don't know what the rules are behind that. So we didn't have time to. Yeah.
Well, so the rules are pretty clear in the book. It would be a long-term project to come up with a schematic, and then essentially you would then just essentially craft it after that. Like you would make a fortune roll or something to craft it, I believe is the actual sort. But you have to do the research first.
Okay. What if I'm doing it off of a weapon that's already created and in our possession? Mimicking.
What are you trying to mimic specifically?
The one that Nyx has.
That's not a simple weapon to make. So
that's why I wanted to ask you off camera. So we can just start a clock for figuring out a schematic for now.
Okay. All right. Let's just hold that off camera. Why don't you come up with something else for a second downtime action?
heat.
I'm like, I don't know.
We have heat.
Yeah, reduce heat.
What can I do to reduce heat though?
Do what you normally do.
Send those girls out. Tell them to turn those Scotlanders' minds.
I mean, can I do that? Can I have them just whisper in people's ears?
Well, I'll have to do more than that. But...
I mean, what? You're right. It would be difficult to do that at the same time. You're right. Can I do that though, Johnny?
You want to reduce heat? How?
Having my girls spread the word about, like,
that. Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of turning it, shifting it back a little bit, like off of us.
Shifting it to where?
Talking about how great Bowerstone is and how maybe he's going to be the change for the city that we need. And, you know, whoever did that was an atrocity. That was during someone else in that whole thing.
Sure, that sounds great.
To reduce heat. Okay.
Never heard such a mood kill in all my life. Hey.
All right. And so how are you rolling that specifically? So is that another tier roll?
I guess.
Because you're using the rooks?
I guess. So that's just rolling another...
That's another 46, or another 4, essentially.
4, yeah. I had to put my note in.
All right, so with a 5, you reduce the heat by 2. So now you guys have reduced your heat by 3 for this during this downtime. So. Okay, cool. So that's your second downtime action. Do you want to spend coin or rep and do a third?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Who's next?
Mr. Steve.
Mike, what's our heat standing at right now?
2. So we're fine.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Except you've got a wanted level.
Pshaw, come on. I know a crew that's had a wanted level for like a whole season, so...
You mean you guys?
Nope, not us.
No, not us.
We
Johnny.
just got it.
That's crazy. Johnny, I'd like to start a long-term project.
Okay.
Steam is going to do the following. There is an orphanage in Crowsfoot called the Strathmill House. It has the unsavory reputation of renting out some of its older orphans to act as couriers and spies around Crowsfoot and Doskvol at large. Steam is going to check this place out and begin identifying Tycherosi children or orphans inside the establishment. In addition to the Tycherosi, anybody that he can safely speak to at night, he is going to begin slowly talking to them, reassuring them, converting them into his godlings.
Only the Tycherosi children.
Or anybody that shows promise.
Okay. What is the ultimate goal here?
The ultimate goal is a flock.
A flock of orphans who worship you as a god, or think that they are gods?
The first one, with the chance at the second one. Typical cult behavior, Johnny.
Manipulating children now.
Well, I'm trying to decide if this makes sense as one clock or if this is actually 2 clocks, like linked progress clocks. Because the first one seems obvious, right? If you're attempting to get a flock, that makes complete sense, right? That's a certain. There's a certain amount of progress, right? You know, you're being very, very assuring, consoling them in their worst times and giving them positive reinforcement in their best times, kind of a thing. But if you want to then convert them from worshiping you to thinking of themselves as gods, that seems, or at least a couple of them, that's seems like that's a separate clock altogether.
The one thing that he wants to do is at no point he wants to give these children reassurance, because this is exactly how he came to be who he is. So these orphans are not these aren't tools for Steam. These are not extensions, or these aren't pawns, or these aren't expendable assets. These are investments that he's making, not for money or personal gain, but for them and for what he believes to be the only way to free this world.
So not cult members.
Not yet. Friends.
I'm not having little children running around. It's not the time.
Basically, he's just going to be this figure that maybe begins to approach them, a big brother, teach them how to defend themselves.
Father Steam.
A daddy, if you will.
You know, hands helping hands. Big brothers across Doskvol.
People helping people here. God's helping God.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it seems like, to me, it seems like it's definitely linked to clocks if you're going to go beyond the fact that you want to win favor with these children, right? And if it's from, winning favor with them to cult members or winning favor and making them think that they're gods, I think those are also two separate clocks that could happen off of this initial, right? So
right.
The short one, the circumstance seems like it's a 4-segment clock, because it's the kind of thing where I don't think it would be very hard for you to influence the children if they're in especially negative circumstances. Does that seem right to everybody? Because I'm looking for a gauge here, because I'm imagining very much a Charles Dickens, Victorian orphanage kind of a situation here.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. Yeah,
I would say yes, but this is also common practice. Apparently, like, the Aruvians and a lot of the crews in Crowsfoot train the kids as, like, pickpockets and spies. So they might be used to this kind of treatment where, like, a mysterious figure comes in and says, "Come with me, children," and pipers them along. So they may be accustomed to that. I don't know if that affects anything or not.
He's not taking them anywhere.
Okay.
He's simply teaching them how to protect themselves.
Right. So he's giving them reinforcement. He's giving them positive,
okay.
He's giving them positive sentiment. Essentially, he's affecting their behavior without removing them from their environment. Is my take on what you're saying. Sure. So I think that what you're talking about makes sense. If he was to try to pull them out, or if he, in whatever happens next. But I think that there's an inherent amount of trust that he's trying to earn before he takes it to the next level, which I don't think happens all that often in those circumstances. Yeah. Okay. So again, I'm gonna say it's a 4-segment clock. And how are you going to, from an action perspective, accomplish this? Is this a consort? Is this a sway?
I would say he's going to do what he does best.
Okay.
And because the Tycherosi are his initial people that he's kind of, if he's going to start, he's going to start with the identified Tycherosi, because they're going to be the ones that are going to be the most persecuted, the outsiders will be the Tycherosi, the strangers, the racist comments and whatnot that they would receive. And he's going to teach them how to defend themselves. To make sure that if there's bullying going on, he's going to identify who needs it the most, start with that child, and progress through the Tycherosi. So I would say it would be more, if he's training them, it would be more like something that he would do with OC. I'll do whatever you do, though, whatever you say.
Well, no, but okay. So that implying that OC is going to help them train with them with you says that you're taking them out of their environment.
That's no. That's a later clock. If we ever wanted to go that route, we could do that separately. This is just a guidance thing, right?
Right. I said like what he does with OC.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Sure. Okay. That makes. I'm sorry. I misunderstood the context. That's.
I mean,
that's
they're kids.
Awesome. Yeah. I think Jen, you nailed it in by saying stranger danger off camera. So, what does that mean though from a role perspective?
Sway?
That was my question, because that's what it seems like. Although if you're teaching them how to basically defend themselves in that situation, I can almost see you making an argument for one of your prowess actions.
Okay, let me see if this can be the bridge. Since I'm not going after non-Tycherosi first, and the intent is specifically to make sure to keep these kids safe, because this is how Steam was brought up. He had the shit kicked out of him, and this is the environment that he was in. So he's going to identify the one getting the shit beat out of him the most teach him the Taikarosi, teach them how to fight. The bridge between that is, as soon as he would see the child and the child would stranger danger, he would pull off his goggles and let the steam come out of his eyes, revealing his own Taikarosi heritage.
Okay. I think that's brilliant. So there are two things that I think that factor into the long-term project besides the fact that it's a 4-segment clock. One is how successful the first roll is will determine how many kids you actually find that are Taikarosian heritage.
Okay.
That way we can determine your initial spread, and then if you want to gather more, if it's a small amount and you progress through the clock and you want to gather more of them, maybe you go to different orphanages, or maybe you influence more children that are not Taikarosian, right? But so I think that the duality of the role is not only is it how many kids you actually get, or how much you actually progress, but how many kids you actually get as well as a part of that. And we'll call it a group. A small group, like somewhere between 3 to 5. A larger group would be 10 to 20.
Okay. So if he's teaching them that, and of course Steam is not going to teach them how to fight fair, can I use my prowl? I'll use prowl, skirmish, or whatever you tell me to, but he's going to teach them how to win. Right.
Well, if you're teaching them valuable skills and you're identifying them through teaching them these skills and giving them their confidence, again, I think that totally makes sense. There needed to be a narrative explanation for it. Gotcha.
Okay, so I'll just roll a straight prowl then, right, for this clock?
Yeah, that's correct. No position, no effect.
Okay.
Okay, so 5 out of 6. That means you progressed 2 slots, essentially 2 segments out of the 4-segment clock. With a 5, though, that seems like a pretty significant group, right? I mean, on a scale of 1 to 6, 5 seems like somewhere between 10 to 15 kids.
That's Taikarosi, right? 10 to 15
That's 10 to 15 Taikarosi kids, right? And so I would assume that you spend a lot of time doing this, basically out of sight, kind of pinpointing who you want to engage with, who looks, who is Taikarosi, who's not, and then you would reveal yourself eventually to them as you begin to kind of do this, this could even be the scope of like a short story or a one shot where you do this narrative in that kind of way, right? But for the meat and potatoes, the mechanics of it, we'll call it a group of 10 to 15 at this point, and you progress 2 segments on the clock, so you've started the process, right?
Okay,
cool. All right, so that's the first of the 2. That's your first downtime action. What would you like to do for your second one?
I would like to, since our heat is down, I need to train skirmish with OC. Train prowess with OC.
Are we gonna get weird again, guys? Because the last time you guys trained together, it got weird.
Wait? No, I don't have that much stress.
Yeah, I've got stress.
I'm not inhaling your face, though. She's done. She's done with that life.
You don't have to.
But you want to.
He's got a whole heap of kids now. They can all have a turn.
Whoa. Don't make it weird.
Yeah.
All right, let's kill Bowerstone again. It's been decided.
Right. Okay, Johnny.
So,
train 2 prowess, which is just our normal training and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But that little speech took a little bit out of steam. He's going to need to reduce some stress. And as OC was she helped him a lot. If she's no longer of that life or about all that, he's going to have to go to the choir.
No, she'll train.
It is a stress relief.
He means suck out his eyes.
This is.
Can she go to the choir with you and watch?
Nothing helps for you with watching anymore, remember?
No, I'm curious. No, this isn't a stress relief. This is a curiosity now.
Oh, yeah, you can come.
All right, no.
Gross.
I agree.
They're all...
Can you roll this and get it over with? Because I'm really kind of uncomfortable right now.
Listen, Mr. 2D6, I don't want to fucking hear it.
Hey, I'm not the one who actually.
You laughed the hardest.
You're all gross.
You're right. I did. Sorry.
I will simply indulge my vice.
Guys, we do kink shame here. Please stop.
By the way, and I couldn't watch sex. to be fair,
You couldn't
No,
watch
I think
sex.
voyeurism was off the table.
Voyeurism was off the table.
that's
All
not
kinds of voyeurism.
voyeurism.
Yeah, all watching.
Okay. I didn't want to actually use it. I'm just saying. Okay.
Well, you are more than welcome to go and watch what happens to Steam. It's just it doesn't have the benefit that it would give you previously from a pleasure perspective.
She has a pocket
From
in
a
her
vice.
cloak with popcorn in it.
We're at that portion of the stream.
Oh man, yeah, we
I'm
are
done.
at that portion
I'm
of the
done.
stream. Okay, go ahead. So roll it. Whatever. Oh, okay, you rolled.
I
Okay,
did.
3.
You said you wanted it done. It's done.
Thank you for rolling it because it's gross. So real quickly, describe the setting of the indulging the vice.
As he walks into the choir with OC in tow, he is immediately greeted by Eternal Womack, who begins to usher in a young man and a young woman who start to disrobe Steam, and Steam halts them for a second. He turns to Eternal and he says, "A god must be wise." And at this point, he's taken into that same four-leaf clover room, but this time his clothing is left on. And in the center of the area, the communal space between the 4 rooms, there are a collection of various instruments, woodwinds and brass instruments of varying Doskvol and Aruvian design. And as the lights sort of dim in the area and the electroplasm current is turned down, Steam shifts slightly into the field, and he can see the spirits come out, and several ghosts come and begin to move through the instruments, creating this unholy yet very pleasing sound. It sounds very much like a gospel hymn, and it's something that was played in his church when he was growing up. And he sits back, and for minutes he just drinks it in, the remembrance of what it was like to be a god. And after several moments and several songs pass, he turns to Eternal and he says, "A god must be strong." And the two fall on him and remove his clothing. And I won't go any further.
Gross.
Go on.
All right. That's 2 time actions. Do you want to spend coin or rep for a third?
I'm gonna hold off for right now. And no.
And with that, we get to Nyx.
Sweet. So Nyx is going to after the Physiker is dealing with Bowerstone, he's going to go out and search for his friend Harris Stillman, and instill kind words, accolades upon him, thanking him for the armor, all that good stuff, and I'm going to complete my clock, converting him into a cohort.
Okay, so the Imperial cohort.
Yep.
All right. So, congratulations. Now gets converted to a cohort. He now takes on your tier, etc., etc., etc.
I'll add him to the list.
Okay, so he is now gone as a clock.
Yep.
So when you do that, is there anything special to the exchange, or is it just more?
Yeah, it's more of like it's sort of like a coercion, where it's like, oh, the effort you put forth was amazing. Bowerstone would be dead if it weren't for you. We would love to have someone of your repute, your stature, your ability, in the Bowerstone camp. Now, I wouldn't want to, interrupt your position here in the Imperial Guard, but, having a friend like you, and you having a friend like Lord Bowerstone, we could go places, kid. That kind of... So you tell me some things, and I'll give you a fucking cookie, and invite you to the Bowerstone annual bash. That thing.
The annual Bowerstone Bash.
Yeah.
What is the so I'm curious as well. What is the annual Bowerstone Bash?
We'll see.
Can you clarify
We'll
this?
find out. It's probably a gala, knowing
It's
him.
the 4 of us real drunk just in the lair.
Yeah, we just get shitty and invite his kids.
It's just the 4 of us.
Yeah.
So when you have this conversation with him, there is a little bit of back and forth as he shares his excitement for being thought of in this way, expressing his enthusiasm, and he mentions to you that he's actually been promoted to private first class.
Ooh.
So the equivalent of that in the Doskvol Imperial army.
Mm-hmm.
So he clearly is making waves in and of itself, and that's in part indicated coming from your tier applying to his skill, and also just him being participating in what he has in supporting both you and the crew. So
okay, cool, awesome.
All right.
Essentially, he will act as a spy.
Okay, fair enough.
And then my second downtime action. Actually, was there action? So I got the information for Marik, I believe was how we say his name.
Marik.
But I didn't actually get what it was. I was told, you know where he is. Did we ever find out where he is?
Sadly, Speedy and I have not had that conversation. Okay. That being said, if you want to use that as the focus for your next score, we can build up to that, and then we can make that happen next week.
Yeah. Sure about that.
Sure about that. Okay, right. Or it sounds like I caught you off guard there. What else can I do for you?
No, might not be next week. I'm going to look to find Needle, or get in contact with Needle, have him possibly come to the Gallows Respite, where I'm currently tending to one Lord Bowerstone.
Okay, and so what are you doing with Needle then?
I would like to. I guess it might be two actions. It might be two assets. I'm not sure exactly how this would work. I want Needle to put word out that Reymond Bowerstone would like to have a meeting with the leadership of the Red Sashes to discuss the future of Crowsfoot. That's asset one. Asset two is I would like Needle to ensure that he is in the meeting.
So you essentially want the asset to be the arrangement for the meeting.
Yeah. So the arrangement for the meeting, and then to ensure that Needle is in the room
at the meeting
when the meeting happens.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's do the asset roll for the meeting first, right? Okay. We'll call that an invitation.
Right. So essentially, I would put it out through several people to make it not be suspicious that Needle knows. But the Rooks put out information that Bowerstone's looking to have a meeting with the Red Sashes, the Aruvians, to discuss the future of Crowsfoot. That way, Needle just happens to get the information and makes the pitch, so to speak.
Okay.
Does that make more sense narratively?
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if it's an asset or if this is actually like a 4-segment long-term project. And the reason I say that is because there are significant steps to getting to that meeting. And it not just being as simple as, especially given the circumstances around the Red Sasses position inside of Crowsfoot. Mm-hmm. It might, and I'll make this suggestion, it might be. And that's given the narrative that you're going with, right? Yep. It might be simpler if you had to acquire it as an asset by using OC's connections to the Sashes, because she is quote unquote directly a member of the Sashes because of the time that she spent at the school.
Well, she's an Aruvian swordmaster, not a member of the Sashes.
So she was also in disguise for the 10 years she was there.
Sure, but you still. For lack of a better, narrative description, you spent a great deal of time with everybody who was practically a Red Sash. Mm-hmm. So you would have been one of the few people that wasn't a Red Sash, and it's more than likely that if you were being recruited or trying to be recruited, and you refused, you would still have some relationship with them, right? So instead of that, instead of it being a long-term project, and from that respect, where you spread the word, you could go directly through OC's connections, and we'll call that an asset. So it's on you. It's on your choice, right? It'd be a 4-segment or a long-term project, or an asset, depending upon how you go through it.
Yeah, it'd be like she's like a kung fu master going to another school, right? Like being able to.
No,
award
because the
same type
Eruvian,
of-
the Eruvian, school or sword school,
You got
fighting
this.
school is essentially the Red Sash's headquarters.
Right.
So it wouldn't be a matter of her going to another school. She's going back to the school that she went to.
Right, but she's awarded the same type of respect as another master. from
Exactly,
another school.
exactly. She would be, yeah. It would her word would have more value in that respect.
Okay, so
It's
Siri,
on
was
you.
It's not going to do you much good until we do our next score.
having the meeting set won't do us good.
All right, go ahead. Yeah,
No, I'm confused.
I was
So-
on a different page. Never mind.
Yeah, so
That's
we're
fine.
setting the actual meeting to discuss
Yep.
the future.
Okay,
I wouldn't
Well,
use my
so-
name. I would say someone who trained there because they don't know me by name.
okay. Do you guys want to have a quick off
No, it's
camera
fine.
chat with this, and then
Just
we can
set the
do
meeting
Nix's
and use my
third?
name, and it'll interest them, and then we'll go into our. That's fine.
There can't be that many masters. I mean,
Well, it's not a matter of him using your name. It would be you stepping in as the master, essentially, as Greg pointed out.
Yeah,
right.
I will.
You would
literally going and doing it.
Yep.
right. You would say, "I am here to broker a conversation between the Red Sashes and Reymond Bowerstone." Essentially,
Yes.
is what OC would be doing.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to get that wrapped
Yeah,
up.
so I'm
in my
essentially
brain.
giving you my free
Yes.
for you to do this.
Well, you're using her as the method, right? But it's still your role
Oh, okay.
for the
sure.
asset.
Sure. So what am I rolling here? I assume sway or would it be consort because I'm using her.
Well, you're rolling your cruise tier for the asset.
Oh, right. You are correct.
Is it
so
his asset or is it our asset?
It's our asset.
Okay.
It's the
Yeah,
meeting, right?
okay.
So he's doing the role. The narrative is that you are the actual one going to establish this, and the result is the role, the quality based on the role.
So do we get any bonus dice? I would argue one for a master and one for the current state of affairs based on what just happened in Crowsfoot. Like the fact that it's not just anybody that wants a meeting, it's Bowerstone, and he just put on a big show.
On home turf, yeah. Their home turf.
Do you think that, and this is a legitimate question to the table, do you guys think that the Sashes would want to have that meeting?
I mean, given the fact that they lost a shitload of their people, and this is a future of Crowsfoot, and they're currently in a gang turf war. I think allying themselves with a
Stronger people.
A politician might
Well,
pique their
okay.
interest.
That at
Okay,
least
so that's
curious
how the tone of that's how the meeting is being propositioned to them, right?
Yeah,
Is
to
that
discuss the
it's
future.
an alliance.
It's you and I discuss the future of
And how it can
Crowsfoot.
benefit
Okay.
both parties. Yes.
Okay, so yes, given the circumstances, the fact that a master's coming in, you get one additional die. The fact that the circumstances in Crowsfoot, yes, you get another additional die.
Cool. So we got a total of 5 dice. Whoo, shit. That was rough. A 3.
So, with a 3, it is a tier 2 as of right now. As we talked about off screen with the rules, you've got coin. Go ahead and spin it.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I don't think we care. We just want the meeting.
Well,
that's
so
the-
here's where
So how does tier affect this?
So quality. So typically, when you have an asset of some kind, you roll the quality as additional die on whatever the roll is. So in this circumstance, you're only going to get 2 additional die to say, maybe we'll call it the engagement roll where it applies, because you're setting up a meeting, right? And this is the intent is to make this the score, right?
So, all right. So then I think I have a meta sense question here. This meeting isn't just like, hey, we want any Joe Blow to be in this meeting. We want like whoever's in charge of the Red Sashes, whoever can make these big decisions with a politician.
Yeah. OC is sending her
Do
word
we get
saying.
the sense that that's a thing?
Well, OC would say, "I'm not going to see anyone except the leader.
Yeah.
If I'm a master, I deserve I'm asking to see the leader.
Because if we don't get that sense, I'll bump it with coin to make sure we get that sense.
We would have to bump it.
You're going to have to bump it.
Okay.
But wait a minute. Let's take a step back from the meta question. What you're asking is for a narrative description after you've rolled something with a mechanical quality or a mechanical, circumstance, essentially. How you use that asset, that meeting, is up to you.
Right.
Whether it's you use it as a part of the engagement roll, you'll get an additional 2d6.
Right.
Or you use it as a part of the sway, the influence in that meeting, for whatever reason. Or maybe it's you want to set a bomb and you want to blow up the meeting again, right? That would be the a part of the fortune roll to determine, or the whatever it is that you use to actually grab, that to make that bomb happen. So it really isn't entirely up to you as to where you use it.
Yeah.
Separately from a narrative sense.
Right. So I'm fine with the 2d6 mechanically, as long as we have leadership there. That's the narrative aspect of what we're trying to do.
So that would come more from the engagement roll.
Okay. In that case, I will bump it 1 to make it tier 3.
Okay.
Yeah, and that costs 1 coin, 2 coin. What
2 coin.
2 coin. Okay, cool. So I'll take
2 coin per 2 coin per tier.
Okay. So I will bump it to a 4/5, which makes it tier 3.
Sure.
And then I will remove 2 coin from the crew.
Sweet. Okay.
Okay, so that is asset number 1. Asset number 2 is making sure that Needle's in the meeting.
I mean, if he practices there or is a sash, he would just have to be there.
Right, but he's a lower end sash.
Why don't you roll, instead of this being an asset and instead of this being a long-term clock, I mean, how dead set are you on having this happen? Like, I mean, how important is it to you in this particular circumstance, or is fate a factor that potentially could affect this? I mean, because narratively speaking, you want to build to something pretty significant here, so him being there is important to you.
Yeah, him being there is for the meta question is him being there is in case shit goes wrong.
Okay.
In case shit goes wrong, I need a friend. Like the man in white's gala wrong. So it would definitely be fate. Like it depends on if things go right or things go wrong. Like we could have him there and never need him at all.
Okay, so with all of that planning, it seems like the right thing to do to say that it's, I almost feel like that you're trying to anticipate every situation rather than giving the opportunity to do a flashback and then just having that setup actually happen as a part of the moment.
Okay, then if that's the thing I can do, then I'll totally do that.
Well, that's the whole point of the mechanic of a flashback, right? Is you get into a score, you run into a situation that is completely uncomfortable for you, or that there's a consequence that you cannot surmount given the current setup or the current circumstances that you're in. The flashback brings in that that narrative kick as to, well, there's this.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I could bring in NPCs in a flashback.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, cool. It's basically it's whatever narratively makes sense. You can do, right? You couldn't call down the thunder and lightning from a god,
right?
Well, okay. Well, wait a minute.
Depending on who you ask,
depending on the god, yeah. I will give you that. But yes, it makes complete sense that you would be able to have that setup happen should you actually need him in a flashback scenario.
Okay, cool. Shit. Does anyone else need downtime? No? Then in that case, I will train. I will train Playbook. Cool. Done. That's all my downtime.
Okay. Do you want to spend any coin?
Nope.
Rep?
Nope.
Does anybody else want to spend any coin or rep before we move on to whatever happens next? Okay. So we're going to cut into free play. Before you guys start figuring out what you want to do next, Rook Networks step up with a couple of pieces of information for you.
Ooh.
The meetings that happened among the Skovlanders that Jinx organized, once he meted his parents, you find out that there has been some sort of accord where all of the Skovlanders are going to start working together. They're not hiding it in any way, shape, or form. They're bringing it together. And I'm sure people in chat are going, or on the Phantom are going, no, that's not necessarily true. But no, they were very public about that whole circumstance. So, second thing, the election is 2 weeks away. So, nobody else. Reymond is currently running unopposed, given the death of Horace Keele and everything else that's going on right now. So he is technically unopposed. But coinciding with that is two other events. Goatchilla is happening in Ongyonk Park. Yes, it's a terrible, horrible, wonderful thing. It is a music festival and arts festival that is happening inside of Silk Shore. It is a pretty significant event. It is its patrons are nobles, giving the arts to the downtrodden, and they're using it as a celebration for the opening of the new lightning tower in Barrowcleft. So that the ceremony happens there, and then everybody's going to celebrate at Goatchilla.
That was both events. Event 2 was the lightning tower.
No, those are two separate events, but they're happening on the same day.
Okay, cool.
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm sure it'll be a very calm event with nothing extraordinary happening.
What, the opening of the lightning barrier? Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a military
fine.
contingent there, and they're just they're going to light the thing up, and there's going to be pomp and circumstance, and
this is all happening at the same time as the election.
So the election is happening shortly before those two other events. So
okay, cool.
Like a day or two before in the narrative's perspective. Okay. But they're relatively around the same time, 2 weeks out.
So like if Bowerstone won, he'd be expected to go to Goatchilla.
Why not?
Bowerstone
the trap, as we'll call it.
Well, so Bowerstone is he's the I was going to say, you're looking a little blurry there.
That makes it worse when you put your hand there, but
that's what it looks like entering the ghost field.
So if he becomes alderman of Crowsfoot, then in becoming alderman of Crowsfoot, I'm not sure that necessarily matters to Silkshore. From the music festival, the celebration. However, he would be expected to attend the gathering that is the opening of the lightning barrier. Absolutely.
Well, Steam's going just because he wants to see the hologram of Tupac. So
I was hoping for Freddie Mercury personally, but
yeah. Hey, man,
is there going to be trap music?
Coachella?
All right. On top of all of that, one other little piece of information comes out. Brightstone will be going into lockdown as in the same way that Crowsfoot has until further notice because of the investigation that's going on into the Opera House event. Things are not going well, and they want to route out, according to the rumor, they want to route out the Skovland menace in Brightstone.
Okay.
And that's all the information that you guys get.
Cool.
We only have the one thing for free play right now, right? That we need to do before.
I think we did them all.
You did that because okay. So can we go straight into setting up the score?
Yeah.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are going to go into the meeting with the red sashes.
Okay.
Just
talk to me about it. I want to.
Yeah,
I get more.
I think we would want to do like what their current, like we know that they lost. We know that they lost a bunch of people in a mysterious explosion that happened. You know, who would have done that kind of thing. But we kind of want to know like some numbers here. Like, you know, are they putting up a big front? Are they as strong as they appear to be? You know, what's their situation?
that definitely sounds like some information gathering roles.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So how do you want to go about acquiring that information?
My first instinct would be to go through Needle, since he works there.
Okay. Well, he's a tier 3 asset, just like the circumstance would be. You would just probably roll him.
Sure.
When you last talked to him, he was essentially responsible for protecting Marique.
Yes.
And
he gave me
that
Marique's
has
location.
changed.
Oh.
Well, yeah, exactly. That has changed as you engage him again. You come to find out that he has been promoted in a way that allows him to. He's responsible for more men now. So essentially, he's been given, quote unquote, a squad.
Oh, fancy boy. Okay, so I will roll for Needle.
Okay,
no
and
bonus
what?
dice,
I
assume.
Well,
think of any reason.
can anybody else
No.
think of any reason?
Nope.
Okay, so then roll it.
5.
All right. So let's see. Where do we start? So the majority of the leadership has been spreading themselves thin as they've been trying to recruit among Eruvians that are still in the city, but they're trying to now recruit outside of the Eruvian army and the Eruvian immigrants in Doskvol. Right, so they're making a significant effort, and they're spreading around a lot of the coin that they had acquired from doing all the kidnappings and the protecting of the demonologist that was known as Valen. Given the circumstances, though, their numbers are still weak enough such that their number is probably under 40 or 50 soldiers altogether, right? So between leadership and what have you. So the fact that Needle got promoted is significant. It means he's probably responsible for 3 to 5 guys. However, the reason that they are as a part of their actively recruiting, they are also spreading a lot of coin around to the Bluecoats and to the Imperial Army soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how they're able to maintain their hold essentially on their locations in Crowsfoot. And they're relying very heavily on the resources, the continued income coming in from their various pleasure dens in Crowsfoot.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any other info gathering they want to do?
No. This isn't info gathering, but how do people normally greet each other when they're both higher ups? She would know, but I don't know.
Well, what do you mean by that?
So when I go to meet him, what is the common way?
How would a master greet a master?
I don't know. How would a master greet a master? Why don't you?
Hello there.
I would assume it would be like a head bow or something, you're
so
to show respect to each other.
Right, but what would be an appropriate way for for a swordsman to greet another swordsman? What do you think the etiquette would be there?
Don't whip it out.
I don't know.
The sword.
Maybe you move your sash to the other side, like you're like holding your sash or something. I don't know, like fucking.
Well, martial arts.
I'm asking you. I'm asking you to get creative. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's throw it out to the table.
Maybe it's like the arm lock where you do like because it's okay. So the swordsman, the school is all men. I'm assuming, or mostly men. Correct.
I wouldn't think so. I'm actually looking at the red sashes as they're listed in the book right now, and the character's name or the NPC's name is Mylera. Mylera is the leader. Shrewd, ruthless, educated art collector.
Of this,
Mylera to me sounds like a woman's name.
Okay.
Well, we don't judge.
So I would assume it would be like an arm grab, almost like a handshake, but you know.
So the
only
traditional medieval
way
of grabbing the arms like this.
But people who are higher up, like everyone else, does not do that. They bow or they show respect or they,
Yeah, like the comrade clutch and then like drape a sash over it or something.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's it, right? So
the unforgivable curse from Harry Potter.
Well, so
what type of culture are you wanting to go with?
I don't want to like dwell on this. I just for me it was like to go in and her to be like, who is this person? Because I've been pretending to be someone else. How would I greet them? I would think it would be something only the sashes know who are within the organization and see it.
Well, it would be something that because you're not a sash, you would be a swords. You would be.
That's what I'm talking
master.
about. The sword. Yeah, I'm talking about the masters. The way that they greet each other.
But so are you revealing that you are the person that was in the disguise?
When I go in, I'm going to speak to them. Yeah, it's going to come out, but that's how I want to greet them is the proper way.
Right, but so I'm just trying to clarify that it's okay. So when you described yourself as receiving this training, you described yourself as a boy, right? You just you went as representing yourself as a male, basically hiding your identity, right? So coming into this circumstance, when you did the meeting to arrange the meeting with the asset, my assumption is that you would still use that same persona, right?
I gave them this. I gave Nyx the same name that I used back then.
Right, but okay. So going back to what we talked about with the asset, you actually went in and arranged for this to happen.
Yes.
I
just went as myself. When we arranged it, it was going to be different. So that's why I was asking you those questions before, because I was going to reveal this to them when we actually went to meet them. That's why I didn't know what to say because that's not what.
Well, and that's why I'm asking for clarification. I'm trying to just understand how you went in. So, okay, we're just going to hand wave all that little detail aside. So you present yourself in the respect to greet however you think is appropriate, and that will be the way that you just say I greet them as a sword master would, and then we'll call that the circumstance, right? We'll call that the detail as a part of this. Now you've got some information, we've got that bit worked out. What else do you guys want to do?
What's our loadout?
Are we good?
Well, hold on. No. Well, hold on. We're not talking about the score details yet. You're still in free play. You're still doing information gathering. That's what I'm trying to clarify.
I mean, the only thing that I'm worried about is what is their thoughts on us? Like, do they know us?
We've met them before.
And
we used your name.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. What's their view on us? Neutral, peaceful.
You can do that as information gathering.
If I may.
Go ahead. How do you want to go about actually acquiring that information now?
Shit. It would be better if we... Nyx, if you use Needle. Like, how many times can we use that guy?
Can't you just be in the same conversation? Just say, what is their view of my group? Like, it's just a question. He would know, I'm assuming.
Well, are you asking about Shroud, or are you asking about Bowerstone?
Bowerstone. Because we're bringing them to the meeting.
Let's see. How would I phrase this?
Fucking hate your guts.
No, they would have a favorable view, I think, of Bowerstone, and the reason behind that would be, let's see. How do I phrase this? They would see the circumstances that happened at the speech. They would see the way that he handled himself, and so they would admire the strength that he would have shown coming in that circumstance, right? It's because he was shot, he was down, he came back, he gave a rousing speech, he projected himself as a very positive, strong figure. That would be huge, right? That would have a huge impact on their opinion of him. On top of that, generally, given his his sentiment against the idea that the Skovlanders are actually responsible, since the Eruvians are essentially another culture, another ethnic group, separate from those on Akaros proper, they would see that as a valuable asset as well. The fact that he does not judge based on cultural, ethnic background kind of thing. So they would see him favorably. And this is important, and I'm going to raise this right now because it sounds like we're going to get to that particular point. When the engagement roll comes up, this is a die that goes in your favor, guys. That they have a favorable appearance of Bowerstone.
Cool. Okay.
Everyone loves the ventriloquist dummy.
Is everyone good?
I think we're good.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, so what kind of engagement is this?
What kind of score? Social?
Acquire an asset.
Social?
So it's social score, right? So that's the plan. Let's talk about loadout then.
Nyx is going to go with normal loadout. Yeah.
Bowerstone?
This is normal loadout, except he's going to have throwing knives on him.
Okay. What
Just because
about?
you're in a dojo, you think you can use them?
Yep. He's inspired.
Okay. Well, what about Steam and OC then?
Yeah.
Steam is leaving his dark sight goggles behind. He's still taking his shadow cloak, a blade or two, and he's also packing light armor, which is 2, right? 2 counts as 2 weight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
OC?
I guess unusual weapon would be her sash. Her sword, and it says fine clothes and jewelry. She's going to go in what they would train in. What she kept her outfit from when she was younger, and is wearing.
And so
that.
she's going to wear that into the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Openly wear that as you all are walking in.
She'll have a jacket over it, but so it's not on the streets. She's not, you don't wear it outside unless you're there training. She knows that, so
Okay.
She would cover it.
Okay. Trying to think if there's any other questions that I have for you guys before we get to the engagement roll itself. I guess not. All right, so let's talk about the engagement roll.
Mm-hmm.
1d6 for sure luck. Next question I have for you, or sorry, additional d6 immediately for the favorable opinion of Bowerstone. Are you using your asset in this particular case? Adding the 3d6 to it.
OC? Should we use that asset for this?
Or do you want to save it for something else?
The meeting that they're having. The asset we gained for brokering the meeting. Not needle.
That's up to you.
Or do we want to add it to a sway roll or something else? So let's use it for this.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think this one's just a little bit more.
Yep. So we're using it.
So we're using it for that. So that's 5 so far.
So that's 5d6. What else, guys? What else works in your favor?
The fact that we have a Nerubian Swordmaster.
Like, would her presence being back there?
Okay, so Nerubian Swordmaster. What was the one you were talking about, Slade?
Yeah, just exactly that. The fact that OC. I mean, I don't know if her presence as a once was.
He added that.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Okay. So that's
What about the
6.
fact that I've still been training? So if this goes bad,
What do you mean by that? I mean,
I just meant if it goes sideways.
I mean,
How about
well, if
how
it goes
about-
sideways, it's going to be a fun fight. Let's be honest.
Oh,
How
I'm
about-
hoping it does.
How about this? An extra bonus die because Steam has been training with an Eruvian Swordmaster and knows
How they fight.
how they fight.
I think that would play in your favor in respects to a fight, any fight given the circumstances. I don't think that applies.
Okay. I could also have
as
told them
effective
how they
circumstances.
operate, though, because I would
Do
have
we know- do we know
intel
the
on
layout?
like how they fight and how they. I would have an exit strategy because I know how to get out. Is that
sure,
part of
yeah.
me being a master,
Layout,
or is
yeah.
that like knowledge rather than just my appearance? It's also the knowledge I have of how they operate. What would happen if someone were to breach their, like the procedure?
I think you being an Eruvian Swordmaster, that applies to all of that because
Okay.
what it does is it gives you in this situation a fair amount of intel to be able to walk in the circumstance. So
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that fits into it. So Steve, I didn't want to dismiss what you're talking about, but I do think that applies more directly in any given circumstance. Like in a fight, like that would give you an additional die automatically because you've been training with an Eruvian Swordmaster.
Oh, that's
Right,
perfect.
you've been-
Yeah, I was just
Okay,
throwing
so
stuff out.
just make sure that you if a fight breaks out, that's where that comes in.
Roger, Roger.
Okay.
Also,
What-
we have a man on the inside in the room.
We determined that was going to be a flashback if you needed him.
Oh, right, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. Sorry.
No. So that's perfectly fine. You have a man on the inside, regardless. He's he's a cohort. So I'm gonna definitely agree with that.
Here's
Are
my
we at
last.
higher
I'm sorry,
tier?
go ahead, Ben.
Sorry, yeah, are we a higher tier than them? Like, does that affect it anything at all?
Hold on.
We
They're
are.
let me
level
look at the
3,
word.
I think, right?
Hold on. Let
No,
me look
they're
at the
two.
current
They're
breakdown. Hold on. Let me look at the current breakdown. I need to double check. Give me just 1 second, guys. No, they're still below you guys. So, and in fact, their position. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're definitely positioned. So they're a lower tier. So you're gonna get another one. So that's what, 7 or 8?
8.
Okay.
That takes him
All
away.
Well, so that's 8 to start, right? And I'm not going to remove the 3 that come from the asset at all, right? We're not going to talk about removing those as negative. No matter what, those 3 plus your 1d6 for luck always going to be there, right? That's the advantage of having the asset, right? So that you're at 8 right now. A couple of things that factor in. As an Eruvian Swordmaster, you would definitely know them at the height of the circumstances, but you don't necessarily you don't know what their current state is. Neil being there for that information, for that, he would have that. So there's not going to be, that's could be a negative, but I don't think it applies right now.
Okay.
Given the conflict in Crowsfoot right now, even though their position is considered strong, they're still in a situation where they're desperate. So they are probably going to make unconventional decisions and unconventional moves. So that adds a bit of randomness to it. So that we're going to bring it down to 7. And I can't think of anything else negative that's going to apply there. Does anybody else have anything that they think might apply that might be negative?
The fact that I was deceiving them, they're going to be real unhappy about that.
Well, what type of terms did you leave?
I
Did you
mean,
leave?
We left on fine terms, but I was lying about who I was.
So I
And
honestly,
disappeared.
I don't see really how that's relevant. Like
I'm
this
just
is
trying
the-
to.
So this is the only Eruvian sword school in Doskvol, but I'm sure there's like hundreds in Eruvia. So you could come from literally any other school. Nothing binds you to this one. You could have trained.
But
anywhere.
I think she's coming out as who she was. Are you coming out when you come back as, hey, I was once a person that trained here? And
Well, they're
I'm
going to know who I am. Not many people make it to mastery. It's not like there's 100 people and I slowly slipped out. Like,
But
there's
what
ranks there.
Mike's saying. That's what Mike's saying. You could have come from anywhere.
well, there
like,
are in
from
other
this-
schools.
from
I'm talking
school.
about this school because I was trained here.
Right,
But are you
so
going to
that's up to
reveal
Johnny.
yourself?
How does that
from
work?
this?
Do they have like a roster of masters that graduated from this particular school? Do they have a roster from
Well,
all the other ones? Like, how can they prove that she's not an Arubian swordmaster from somewhere else?
I think there would be individual characteristics. I mean, I think like every discipline out there in respect to techniques, whether it's martial arts, whether it's swordplay, whether it's any type of weapons, there are the basic forms, and then I think there are the little idiosyncrasies and the details of the master that trains you, right? So there might be some subtle difference, or might be some subtle circumstance, or the way you carry yourself, how you display your sword, or what your sash looks like. There are any number of factors that might give away that she was trained at this particular school.
Okay.
So it's
Also,
a
when
possibility.
I say the name, they're gonna know who it is.
You're going to say,
It is-
well, all right.
I'm going to say
you
the
were
name that I
actually-
gave when I initially
Okay.
enrolled.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying is they're going to be like, oh, this person was lying about being this person. That's the only thing that I can think of. If that's not a thing, I just threw it out there.
It's going to be
With there being female and male masters, though, I think at this point, I mean, unless they were,
It was a
really-
vulnerability thing for her back then. She didn't want people knowing who she was because of the Dimmer sisters and everything.
They
so
could be
it was,
very
she had her own
disappointed.
reasons for doing it. It wasn't just because she was a female.
Right.
Yeah.
You're hiding your identity. I get that, but I mean, if you come out and say that you were someone that you were not, how many people in this city have changed their names?
Right, but so
If it's
There
not a
is
negative,
something-
then
well, there's something to be said that along with the identifying characteristics that come from a particular master, right? There also could be something said to the fact that there is some sort of honor system.
that's what I was talking about. The lying aspect. You got. I was talking about the fact that I'm not who I said I was back then. Whether or not I was still the same. I still had the same personality and everything. But like, why would I lie about that? Now I'm just sketchy. I thought maybe that there was some factor of dishonesty, and if not, ninja code, guys, honor system.
Yeah, that's why I was confused. Like, why would you reveal that you were lying back then? Now, just keep lying. Like, they're not going to have a roster of Arubian swordmasters.
Because I was a boy back then.
And
They
she
would know
wants
who
to
I was
reveal
if they trained
that.
me. If the master's still there who trained me,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
All right, to cut this conversation because we're getting close on time anyways, and we're just going to get to the engagement roll and then probably going to have to quit. Here's what I would say on this. None of you are Aruvian by your character's birth or background, so let's just hand wave that part of it and say that it's not an issue right now. That the fact that you lying is not going to be a detriment, or that you're coming out, that it might actually play in your favor depending upon how you present it. And maybe that's what we'll do, is instead of it being a negative in the engagement roll, it will have some effect on the conversation as it's ongoing, right? Depending upon how you present yourself. I think from a role-playing perspective, that's more interesting to me than having it mechanically determined. So again, it sounds like we're still at 7.
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay. All that being said, who wants to do the engagement roll? We'll roll the engagement roll, and then
I think OC should do it.
OC, yeah.
yeah, okay.
It's a fortune roll.
Yep.
It is a
it's
fortune
7.
roll, and it's
There's
7.
only 6.
So
Well-
roll 6 and then roll it again with 1.
Sure, that'll do.
Or crit it, or just crit it.
Or you crit it, and it doesn't even matter.
Let me have this, guys.
Or you just crit it. You crit the shit out of it.
What's
Ninja Vanish.
all right? I read that as varnish for just a second. I thought I saw an R in there.
Oh,
That's
don't
just-
tell me that. My spelling's awful. I totally would do
It's
that.
ninja varnish. You gotta polish the ninjas.
They're swords.
Yeah, okay, the swords.
Polishing swords.
All right. Because I want to end on something narratively beautiful and not necessarily just on an engagement roll. Here's the setting of this situation. When you enter the Aruvian school to have this particular meeting, you are escorted in as a guest of honor, Mr. Bowerstone. You are treated as an honored guest by the apprentices that are being trained. Now, for information purposes only, the apprentices, everybody that's training at the school, they are not considered Red Sash. They are not, the Eruvian consulate sends their apprentices and their trainees and their children, all associated from the, and the army and everything else. They're all training. The Sashes are very different. So as you enter, you get the honor because you are attending a meeting with what's thought of as the head of the Eruvian school. You step in to the foyer, and they're lining, and you walking in. And OC, as you're walking in with them, you notice that every third or fourth student has essentially the apprentice symbol for the Sashes. Not an actual Sash soldier, but this was something that you were offered and denied, and you denied because you did not want to participate with them as a Sash. So there are a number of them in this crowd of, say, probably a good 40 that are lining this hallway as you were walked in. You are taken into the back where there is this ballroom-like setting with mats on the floor, and you realize that this is a training facility, or this is one of the main training areas, as there is a lesson currently going on. OC, first thing that you notice, everybody in this room is a skilled swordsman. They're pretending not to be, but it's obvious to you. This is a display of power towards Reymond Bowerstone. And so as you step in, everybody stops, they salute. Swordplay continues on. A beautiful woman in her mid-40s begins to walk towards you in a training garb, flanked by another woman, much younger, probably in her late teens, and a much older gentleman, probably late 50s. As the woman gets closer, you begin to see the scars on her face and her hands, where you can see that she's had serious conflict. She's had a great deal of experience, and her eyes are a little sad, even though she's smiling at Mr. Bowerstone, standing in this particular situation. She walks up. She offers her hand to Reymond to shake, and she says, "My name is Malia. It is a pleasure to meet you. Who are these wonderful people with you?"
So with that, he's going to respectfully, because not knowing, but he's going to somewhat bow his head, but he's going to slide his eyes over to OC and nod his head to let her introduce herself.
OC is going to walk up with her jacket still on, but the sash is just around her wrist. So when the sleeve comes up a little bit when you reach, she goes to grab her arm on the inside of her elbow.
A moment of surprise passes over her face. As she reaches down, she looks you in the eyes, ready to speak, and that's where we're going to end it.
I love how someone important talks to Bowerstone and he goes...
That's pretty much Bowerstone's go-to move.
Yeah.
Also, just so you guys out there know, Mr. Bowerstone wrote in chat, they could have a small child there that would be threatening to me.
That's true.
Which is true. I'm pretty sure any of those kids could kick your ass.
You're literally like, yeah, there's whole people lining up there, and the threat could be the small child that would be threatened out of my life.
They can kill you with the little wooden swords they give the kids.
So, Miss Orange Crush, regale us with your XP.
Okay. I did use my cloak and dagger, even though it was useless. I used one of my abilities as deception. I used my influence here towards the beginning of this to actually get us the meeting. I guess my drives is to go back to the school. And because she's been wanting to, but she left, so she thought she was going to be shamed or something, so she, still went back anyway.
Sure.
Vice and trauma. Trying to think. I don't think so.
I think that from a second background standpoint, beliefs, drives, heritage, and background, the whole inquiry about the location of Nai's body, or the possessed body of the person that you're trying to get that you believe to contain Nai's spirit. So I think that's a second one for you.
Yeah,
and her fighting in the crowd with her Aruvian sword arts, but you can only get 2. But yeah, either of those.
Well, so you, deception and coercion, right? Was your second one, correct?
Deception or influence.
That could arguably be considered influence.
So I mean,
honestly.
deception in the crowd for sure. Influence getting us the meeting.
Yes.
So there's
Okay.
2 for that.
So
So 2 for that and 2 for the background. There are 2 for the background as well. So
I would argue suffering from your vice, you gained the information of a person you believed to be Nai, and then didn't act on the information. Instead, you did something that the
Group
Shroud
wanted to do.
needs, less what OC needs.
right, but that actually factors into her belief drives, heritage, and background. That
Okay.
she actually got that information as well. So
Okay.
unless
that's 6.
there was more distinct action that would happen there
Yeah.
related to her not going after that. I mean, she decided to hold off. So
Okay.
all right, cool. All right, so that sounds like 4 for OC.
Okay.
Why don't we?
You can't add.
The savior of the Bowerstone campaign.
I think I only have 3.
All of his powers today.
Yeah, stealth and evasion. I have both the assassination attempt and crowd control. Those are 2 separate areas. And then the only thing I can think of for beliefs, drives, heritage, and background is the beginning of the recruitment of the godlings in the orphanage, identifying the Taikarosi children as, wanting to protect them. That's his own background. His own belief structure with the Taikarosi. His drive is to elevate the Taikarosi people, specifically those gifted with divinity. And but that's it. I think that only counts as 1, though.
I mean, I could argue for a drive that you actually went up and tried to save Bowerstone. Like you threw yourself in harm's way. I don't know if you want to put that there.
Same thing could be
I
said
thought-
of him trying to save Nyx as well. So I think in both cases, I think that applies as an additional XP. Absolutely.
He also let someone else watch his vice.
Hey,
That's
I'm
probably
I'm
at
not sure
first.
that's necessarily struggling with his vice.
It's not
No, but
struggling,
it's
but I think it would
background.
play into his background, where before he was very discreet about going, and this time he invited another god. I mean, he already has 2 points for background, so it just kind of plays into the 2
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, I
It was
agree.
to
I think
solidify.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So it looks
Still
like 4
4
total.
Still 4, but a possible fun 5 that I can't use. Okay.
Bowerstone, you crushed your meeting today, or you crushed your performance.
There's no desperate roles. Influence and deception. I mean, the speech for 1. Any other type of influence? Maybe with the sashes.
Your
What it
influence
was?
with the your influence overall did give us better position with the sashes. I'm not sure if that is
Yeah.
an active.
It
thing.
says
It helped get the meeting.
His influence with the sashes didn't help get the meeting. It
No,
helped
it helped-
establish
it
the
helped
tone of
make
the
the-
meeting.
yeah,
I
helped
mean,
make the
influence
meeting
with
better.
the blue coats then?
Yeah, help establish the tone of the meeting. That's exactly. So does that would that count as a?
I'm just saying there's multiple. You got the main speech, which is 1. There's the influence with the blue coats to let him go back onto stage.
That's true.
You know,
Okay,
there's
so that's 2.
There's also the arresting with Tabitha, if you want, getting Steam out of prison.
Sure. So those are influence though. So you've already got a maximum of 2, but there's definitely 4 or 5 things that I think you did, right? So from police drives background and heritage though.
I mean, background again, wanting to create peace in Alderman of Doskvol for his main goal.
That'd be your drives, yeah.
Yeah, drives as well. I mean, you could put that category under so many.
So I think that falls under the third
Yeah.
thing. So it sounds like 3 XP.
Yeah. And no vice or traumas this time.
Okay. Cool.
Me. That's me. So no desperate actions. Challenge with calculation or conspiracy. I don't think I did.
You handed me the notes, remember?
The entire speech.
Oh, I guess the entire speech that I didn't write. No one knows that. I guess that counts as 1. That's all I got for that one, though. Beliefs, drives, and heritage or background.
You
Whoa,
didn't
what was
fight
the first
back.
one? You didn't fight back. You took it.
He did take it.
That is.
You took it. Took
Yeah.
it real good.
What would that fall under, though?
Whoa. Please don't describe it like that. That's a
Background.
little disgusting.
Would that fall under background, you think?
Actually, I think not. I think that's going to fall
Enjoy
under...
your stay.
So I have challenge with calculation and conspiracy. That could be
Well,
calculating.
it was for you. The fact
Calculation.
that you calculated, that you took a calculated risk
Yeah.
to not respond, allowing the, so that's definitely one there.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
one for that, one for the speech, for
Absolutely.
getting him the speech. I don't think I have any beliefs, drives, heritage, or background in this today. And no vice or traumas.
Okay.
So 2.
Yep.
Cool. And then for our crew, unfortunately, the score we completed was not espionage, sabotage, or theft, so no XP for that. Contend with challenges above your current station. Johnny, you said tier wasn't really a factor in this, so I'm not sure how that plays in.
Keel.
So, if anything, you guys were on equal footing with Tabitha Keele.
Okay.
The Bluecoats and the Imperials were neither for you or against you
Right.
in this particular, from a mechanical sense.
Mhm.
So,
So we're
yeah,
not up against anybody, so I'd say 0 for
you
that.
you weren't. I mean, well, you were influencing the crowd.
But the crowd is
So,
below us.
well,
They're commoners.
Well, it depends on how far the influence goes. It doesn't just
right, and the fact that he critted, that he chose to use a crit to
Okay.
do that, I'm going to argue 1 there.
Okay, so 1 there. Which I guess that would really fall into the next category. Bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one. So we bolstered our reputation. So that would be where the crit really comes in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then express goals, drives, inner conflict. Anyone?
You
Oh.
have 2 there. You absolutely have 2 there. If you don't realize that you have 2 there, you have 2 there.
What do we?
Because not only did you get through the circumstances that were thrown at you by Tabitha Keele coming into play, right? That was an unanticipated circumstance. You guys
True.
pulled together and were able to tackle the circumstance, right? And then in going into the new score with the Red Sashes, you leveraged the crews, essentially each of the crews, for lack of a better word, position, right? You leveraged, you knew that
Okay.
Reymond's position was significant. Your position, you're using the cohort needle, definitely had some influence on it. The fact that OC was, going to basically come in and with the intention of revealing herself as the Aruvian Swordmaster, essentially boy, is actually a girl. All of that is going to have a significant impact. So I think that there's definitely a second there that comes in for that specifically.
Okay, cool. So then that sounds like 3 XP, and we're done with XP. Cool. So we'll go around, do our introductions. First, I'll remind you guys that there are 2 giveaways currently happening for this channel and Blades in the Dark. The first of which is for 6 and 20. If you use the hashtag 6 and 20 art on Twitter, you guys can enter fanfics, slash fics, pictures, GIFs, movies, art, anything you want. Submit that, and we will pick a winner from amongst those people who have submitted art to win a copy of the Blades in the Dark book, so you can begin playing in your own dark, sinister world of Doskvol. The second giveaway, if you type ! giveaway in chat, unMadeGaming is giving away. We're partnering with Elderwood Academy. They make awesome dice chests, dice scrolls, all kinds of cool stuff. They have been gracious enough to give us custom-made unMadeGaming logo having hex chests for your dice. So those are pretty rad. So go check that tweet out. And I believe that's it. If you guys want to tune in tomorrow, we'll be here at 7 o'clock for more Havoc in the Hinterlands. And we'll go around to our characters. Mr. Bowerstone, the wonderful speech-giving politician we have here. Who are you? What are you doing here? And what do you think of tonight?
So guys, I'm a slave for Crit Dice Gaming, stream every weekday. Guys, it wasn't just me that wrote that speech. In fact, I almost had nothing to do with that speech other than the deliverance of it, because I'm useless with speeches. So today was a fantastic game. Everyone pulled around together, and it is certainly coming together nicely. Vote for Reymond.
Fantastic. Don't. Please make that. We're gonna make that a shirt. Steam. Who are you? What are you doing here? And what'd you think of tonight?
Greg, Grimjack21502 on Twitch and Twitter. I love this because, like Johnny said, we had a lot of stuff thrown at us at the beginning, and luckily, we play off each other. I thought that was our best moment to mesh and gear up, man. We were just bouncing off each other and doing everything right. And I thought it was great. I thought it was a really cool kind of narrative moment to look back on and, see it from like a movie type of perspective. We joked about Braveheart, but anywho, man, I can't wait for next week. We leave on a cliffhanger every week. It's awesome. Johnny does a great job with all these shows, man. It drives me nuts. This one drives me nuts. I don't know how he does 3, but I had a great time. I'll see you guys next week and later.
Johnny's okay. He's just fine. We'll go to Xmas Ninja. Who are you? What are you doing here? What do you think of tonight?
I'm Xmas Ninja. I run a gaming channel. Tonight was interesting. It was kind of nice just kind of sitting in the crowd like, is he going to die? Is he going to get shot again? Is someone going to shoot him? Am I going to shoot him? What's happening? We plan everything. Mostly everything. And that was pretty cool. I did not expect any of that. And that was really well done, Johnny. While I hate you for almost killing all of us, it was great. It was a good story. It was a good time. Tune in next week while I kill a bunch of people.
Nobody really died.
I will say that despite what Greg says, that we worked well together, I think everyone had a moment of, oh no. And we panicked for a second. Not Greg. Just not Greg. Greg was cool as a cucumber. The rest of us, I think, went all, oh shit. This didn't...
I was still off the screen.
That's because he can go invisible. He has no threat.
We literally all went, oh, we didn't plan for any of that's happening right now. Shit. Because we do plan for every outcome. Because that's literally what the Shroud's about. So, Johnny, thank you for throwing a twist at us. And who are you? What are you doing here? And what do you think of tonight?
What do I think of tonight? Tonight was interesting. Really surprised at how well you actually were able to survive through all of that, because I was anticipating it being a lot bigger. I'm Johnny.
Thank you. I had to hold it in. I was
holding it in all night. That's what she said.
Also, you said that every
VideostoreCowboy channel, GM for 6 and 20, blah, 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 blah. Links in chat. Love you guys. Thanks.
Is that what it is? You're just done tonight? That's the.
He's DMing tomorrow night, guys, over on Not So Speedy's channel.
Yep, that's true.
Yes, thank you.
Not So Speed Runs.
So, guys, 6 and 20 is a massive universe. We're playing the Blades and Dark campaign setting by John Harper. Johnny is the DM, not just here, but on Tuesday nights on his channel, on Thursday nights on Not So Speedrun's channel. And this is a massive world, 3 crews in the same city, right now in the same district, interacting and bouncing off of each other. Not all of us are allies. In fact, none of us are allies. We're all actively working against each other. So it is a crazy, convoluted world that he seems to wrangle in his brain, in between threatening to kill us all in real life. So if you if you are a fan of this nonsense, go check out his channel. Go check out Not So Speedruns and follow them for more 6 and 20 nonsense. You can also follow @Blades620 on Twitter to hear all of our cool rants and raves and all kinds of fun stories. But for now, we're gonna go raid our friends over at Save or Dice. Go check those guys out. They're playing their homebrew D&D campaign right now. And from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.